Chapter 841. Published at 10th of April, 2022, 3:37 and 40 seconds p.m. Chapter 841. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 841. Fighting the abomination so freaking noisy. Let me help you quiet down. Yuan swung the Empyrean Overlord, unleashing another wave of sword aura at the abomination. This time, he aimed for the demon's head. The instant the sword aura touched the demon's head, it was cut until there was almost nothing left, and without a mouth or head, the demon was finally silenced. However, the silence only lasted for a few moments until the demon regenerated and started screaming again. Then how about this? Yuan summoned a couple more golden swords before using them to seal the demon's mouth shut by filling its mouth with these swords. This tactic worked wonders, as the demon was unable to remove the swords. Once it was quiet again, Yuan returned to attacking the abomination with his sword aura. Even though his attacks did not seem to work at first, Yuan eventually noticed that the abomination's recovery rate was beginning to lag. Eventually, the abomination gave up on trying to remove the golden swords and started thrashing around. And since its face was covered in golden swords, it could only blindly attack its surroundings like a broken machine. The landscape quickly began to change with the abomination's chaotic movements. The abomination's erratic movements also forced Yuan to slow down his attacks, so that he doesn't get his by its random attacks. Wankaiki eventually arrived at the scene, and when he saw that it was Yuan who had been fighting the abomination this entire time, he was left speechless and completely shocked. Impossible. What technique did he use to cover the abomination with those golden swords? Then he noticed that Yuan was attacking the abomination with sword aura that had been infused with demon sealing aura. He can not only use sword aura, but also infuse it with demon sealing aura. Who is this guy? There's no way he's just a mere spirit lord. He must be hiding his true cultivation. Fuck. He tricked me. It was at this moment that Wankaiki realized the points he had painstakingly acquired were at stake. However, no matter how much he wanted to return to hunting demons, he was just unable to leave. There was something about Yuan fighting with the abomination that is keeping him there. Daoist Huan showed up a few minutes after Wankaiki, and sure enough, she was just as shocked as Wankaiki after she saw the situation. Who is that? She asked Wankaiki without taking her eyes off the fight. I don't know, he responded in a confused voice. He was just as clueless as her. Eventually, the abomination began showing signs of being sealed, as one of its arms had turned into stone completely. When he saw this, Yuan briefly stopped his attacks and began gathering spiritual energy in his sword. After taking a deep but calm breath, Yuan released the heaven-splitting sword strike on the abomination. Of course, this heaven-splitting sword strike was infused with demon sealing aura, just like his sword aura. The heaven-splitting sword strike easily blew a massive hole within the abomination's body. She a sharp knife cutting paper before disappearing in the horizon. The abomination's body immediately began working on recovering the damage, but it realized that it was unable to heal the wound just as quickly. Its instincts told the abomination that it was in danger, and for the first time, it gave up on destruction and focused on running away. It's running away? No way. Wankaiki was bewildered by the abomination's actions. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The others watching were just as baffled, as they have never witnessed such a scene before. Where do you think you're going? Yuan stopped attacking the demon, and took a moment to create a massive golden sword that was almost as big as the abomination before sending it flying at the abomination. Boom. The entire world shook as the golden sword pinned the abomination into the ground, stopping it from running away. The abomination wanted to scream in pain, but since it couldn't make any noises, its body began squirming instead. If you stop struggling and become sealed, you won't have to endure any more pain. Yuan shouted at the demon as he unleashed some more sword aura at the pinned-down demon. Eventually, the abomination could no longer regenerate faster than it was being sealed and completely turned into stone. Seeing that had finally sealed the abomination, Yuan finally stopped attacking it, and sat down to recover his spiritual energy that was almost exhausted. The place turned dead silent after Yuan sealed the abomination, and even the demons that had been in hiding did not dare to disturb him. Despite not being real, these demons were created to act and think like demons, so it was only natural for them to fear Yuan after witnessing his display of strength. He really did it, he sealed the abomination. Yenhara muttered in a dazed voice as she stared at the abomination's sealed frame. Even though she had a feeling that Yuan had the potential to defeat the abomination, she still couldn't believe it even after witnessing it happen with her own eyes. Shit. I really want to speak with him right now, but we are not allowed to approach them until the examination is over. Wan Yu gritted his teeth with deep frustration. While Yuan recovered his spiritual energy, Wan Kaiki and Taoist Huan would just stand in place and stare at the sealed abomination, as though they were in a trance. This cannot be happening. I must be dreaming. Wan Kaiki mumbled in a low voice after many minutes of silence. I really wish this was just a dream, but... Taoist Huan released a deep sigh. She turned around and began walking away. Where are you going? Wan Kaiki asked her. The abomination may have been defeated, but there are still plenty of demons to hunt, she said before disappearing from his sight. Wan Kaiki lingered around for a few more minutes before leaving the place as well. However, he did not return to hunting demons. Instead, he went straight to the finish line. He knew that his defeat was inevitable, so there was no reason for him to continue farming points, as he would only be helping Yuan gather more points. Chapter 842. Published at 10th of April, 2022, 3:37 and 40 seconds p.m. Chapter 842. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 842. Promotion to Elite Demon Sealer. Phew, that took more effort than I'd expected. Yuan sighed in relief after he finished recovering his spiritual energy. Young master. Are you still the young master, or are you? Feng Yuxiang had a feeling that his memories as the divine paragon had resurfaced again, affecting his behavior. Yuan smiled and said, Don't worry, Feng. It's still me, Yuan. Anyways, we still have plenty of time left before the end of the examination. Let's get as many points as we can. He then stood up and turned to look in a specific direction. Why are you hiding? Come out and play with me, Yuan suddenly said out loud. When the demons in hiding heard Yuan's words, they immediately turned around and began running away. They knew that they had no chance against a monster like Yuan, who single-handedly defeated the abomination without giving it the chance to really retaliate. Where do you think you're all going? You can run and hide, but you won't escape from me. I can smell you all from miles away. A wide smile appeared on Yuan's face as he chased after the demons, feeling better than ever before. After consuming the divine paragon's memories, his hidden fear towards demons disappeared, allowing his confidence to flow and becoming empowered by it. Although he's never really mentioned it to anyone, he was always fearful of demons inwardly. Perhaps even he was not aware of it, but now that fear is gone, it feels as though a massive amount of weight has been lifted off his back. Demon Sealing Strike. Yuan used this technique with Sword Aura, shredding the demon it struck until there was nothing left of it, killing it almost instantly. The way he uses his Sword Aura. It reminds me of the Lord's Sword Aura. Lan Yingying thought to herself as she watched Yuan kill one demon after another from his wrist. A few hours later, Yuan accumulated over 1,500 points. At this rate, he'll clear out all of the demons within the Demon's Valley, Tang Zheng said. He's going to have a field day inside the treasure room with the amount of points he'll have by the end of the examination. Wan Yu smiled. And he still has another full day to acquire more points. Yenher said. Oh well. Even if he empties out the treasure room, nobody can complain about it, as that is the rule of this examination. After another day of hunting demons, Yenher's voice resounded from the necklace. You have 4 hours left before the examination comes to an end. 4 hours, huh? Might as well end things now since it appears that I have hunted all of the demons in the Demon's Valley. Yuan mumbled to himself, as it has been over an hour since he last encountered a demon. Thus he began making his way towards the finish line. He reached the Divine Paragon statue 2 hours later to see Wan Kaiki cultivating beside the statue. When Wan Kaiki noticed Yuan's presence, He opened his eyes and proceeded to stare at Yuan with a perplexed expression on his face. Yuan glanced back at Wan Kaiki and said, "I'm surprised to see you here before me. Did something happen?" "No particular reason. I just got bored of fighting demons, so I decided to end it early." Wan Kaiki lied without any hesitation. And he continued, "Don't worry, I won't go back on my own words. If I lose, I will give you my points as promised." Yuan didn't really care about Wan Kaiki's reasons for quitting early, so after hearing that Wan Kaiki would honor their bet, he stopped bothering Wan Kaiki and sat down to cultivate. About an hour after Yuan's arrival, Daoist Huan also showed up at the finish line, but she appeared to be a little agitated for some reason. "What the heck is going on with the examination? I stopped encountering demons after the second day." She sighed inwardly. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Although she knew that there was only a limited amount of demons to hunt for the examination, she could not have expected for Yuan to kill all of them within 2 days. Hence her frustration and confusion. However, that confusion would disappear shortly later when the judges appeared to announce the results. Once all 3 participants arrived at the finish line, Yenhara and the other judges showed up to end the examination. "Congratulations on passing the examination. The 3 of you will be promoted to the rank of Elite Demon Sealer. We would normally hold a ceremony for such an occasion, but due to the current situation, we will have to skip the ceremony and go straight to the promotion." Wan Yu said to them, "Anyways, let's announce the results of the examination." 3rd place, Wan Kaiki with 155 points. 2nd place, Huan Xie with 289 points. 1st place, Yuan with 2,056 points. 2,000 points. Huan Xie looked at Yuan with her eyes as wide as saucers. "No wonder why I couldn't find any demons. This guy killed them all. 2,000 points. That's gotta be the record." Wan Kaiki looked at Yuan with a bewildered face. Indeed, Yuan's 2,000 points had beaten the previous record held by Dian Chu, even doubling it. "Do you guys have anything to say before we leave this place?" Wan Yu then asked. Wan Kaiki raised his hands and said, "My points. Give them to him." "What?" Wan Yu raised his eyebrows in a questioning manner. "I lost a bet with him," Wan Kaiki said, not explaining any further. "Very well. You have a total of 2,211 points now," Wan Yu said to Yuan. They left the Demon's Valley shortly after, and returned to the Grand Library, where Yenhara handed them their new badges. "Once again, congratulations," she said to them. "Thank you, Senior." They bowed to her before taking their leave. After the other 2 left, it was just Yuan and the 3 judges. They turned to look at him, and proceeded to stare at him in silence. They had so many questions for him that neither of them knew where to start. Chapter 843. Published at 10th of April, 2022, 3:37 and 40 seconds p.m. Chapter 843. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 843. Act of treachery. Is there something wrong? Yuan decided to ask them after giving them plenty of time to speak. "Little Founder, that technique you used to restrict the abomination, what kind of technique is it?" Yenhara forcefully swallowed before asking him. "Oh, that was one of my family's techniques. It's called Swords of Binding Light. It's really good for restricting magical beasts and demons alike," he responded in a calm manner. "Swords of Binding Light? So it really wasn't Swords of Eternal Torment?" Tang Zheng mumbled. "I told you it couldn't have been that technique." Wan Yu didn't seem surprised outside, but he was relieved inwardly. Of course, since Yuan had the Divine Paragon's memories, he was well aware that Swords of Eternal Torment was a technique that had never been shared with the Demon Sealing clan, or anyone in that matter. He was also aware of the risk from using the technique, but he had no other choice, as that technique was required to defeat the abomination at his current level. Anyways, that was a marvelous performance, Little Founder. I am now more confident than ever that you have what it takes to become the next leader of the Demon Sealing clan," Yenhara said with a bright smile on her face. "Screw the Demon Sealing clan," Wan Yu suddenly said. "Huh? What did you just say?" Yenhara turned to look at him with a frown on her face. However, Wan Yu ignored her and continued to look at Yuan. I wouldn't normally do something this shameless, but you're worth it. Yuan, leave the Demon Sealing clan and join the Demon Sealing Grotto. You're wasting your talents over there. Hey, how dare you try to convert the little founder right in front of me? Yanhara was beginning to fume in anger when you coldly snorted at her and said, "Have you already forgotten what I told you during the examination? The Demon Sealing clan is collapsing faster than ever before. It will only be a matter of time before it completely disappears." He then turned to look at Yuan and continued, "Listen here, Yuan. Because of Qian Chu, the current leader of the Demon Sealing clan, 3 master demon sealers from the Demon Sealing Grotto were killed. And this isn't the first time he's indirectly killed our people. The Demon Sealing Grotto can only endure it so much before they make the Demon Sealing clan pay for its leader's crimes. Therefore, I am advising you to leave it before things get too hectic. If you want to become a leader, you can become the leader of the Demon Sealing Grotto instead. I believe you have the capabilities." After a moment of silence, Yuan spoke, "So what you're saying is, the Demon Sealing clan will suffer because of the current leader. In other words, as long as someone replaces his position, the Demon Sealing Grotto won't bother us any further. Is that correct?" I understand where you're coming from, but that's not how this works. Even if the Demon Sealing Grotto is willing to forgive the Demon Sealing clan, it is highly unlikely that someone will replace him. Ojin Chu, he won't let anyone take his position even if he has to fight to his last breath. Little Founder, are you thinking about taking Qian Chu's spot as the leader of the Demon Sealing clan? Yanhara suddenly asked him. No, not at all. However, I do intend on removing Wan Chu from his position. He doesn't qualify to be the leader of the Demon Sealing clan, Yuan said in a calm voice. Yanhara and Tang Zheng felt chills down their spine after hearing Yuan's words, and they immediately began looking around to make sure nobody else had heard him. Why, you shouldn't say such things out loud. Do you have any idea how many people admire Qian Chu? Even worse, if Qian Chu gets word of it, he will personally take care of you. Yanhara warned him. Ha ha. Wan Yu suddenly began laughing out loud. You are truly a wondrous and incomprehensible existence. Tell me, how are you going to remove him? You have piqued my interest. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Don't tell him anything. For all we know, he could run off to tell Qian Chu afterward. Yanhara sneered. I would never help Qian Chu. He's not only an egotistical bastard, but also cold-hearted to the bone. He's someone that could sacrifice an entire city without batting an eye as long as he achieves his goal, almost like a demon in human skin. If I can assist in bringing him down, I would do so in a heartbeat. Wan Yu shook his head, and he continued, You know, I had a relationship with many of the demon sealers that had been killed by Qian Chu. They were my friends. Yuan then spoke, Even if you ask me to tell you, I don't know how to remove him from his position. At least not right now. However, I will eventually think of something. Little Founder. Are you serious? Yanhara looked at him with a worried frown on her pretty face. It is one thing to fight for his position, but what you're doing sounds like an act of treachery. You will be killed for it if caught. Don't worry, Senior Yan. I won't do anything. For now. After all, I am still too weak to threaten anybody. Yuan said. Aya. That's not what I am worried about. You worry too much, Yanhara. If you keep your mouth shut, nobody will find out about anything. In fact, the two of you are more of a risk to him than I am. After all, you're both from the Demon Sealing clan, and work directly for Qian Chu. I, on the other hand, work for the side that wants to see him fall. That's it. I have had enough of your bullshit. How dare you suggest that I would do anything to hurt him? Just as Yen Tiara prepared to confront Wan Yu, Tang Jing quickly reacted and stepped between them. That's enough from the both of you. Are you trying to worsen the already grave situation between our clans? If you don't trust each other, I have a suggestion. Make an oath with heaven as witness that you will not say anything. You want us to make a heavenly oath? They looked at Tang Zheng with wide eyes. It's either that or you continue fighting each other. Tang Zheng nodded. Chapter 844. Published at 10th of April, 2022, 3:37 and 40 seconds p.m. Chapter 844. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 844. Heavenly Oath. If it makes things better, I can go first, Tang Zheng said when he noticed their hesitancy. However, they weren't hesitant because they had planned on telling Qian Chu about Yuan's plan to remove him from his position. They were hesitant because a heavenly oath would mark their soul, and anything that is related to the soul is an extreme risk for any cultivators. Unless it was absolutely necessary, nobody would dare to take such risks. I am willing to do a heavenly oath since I know that I won't say anything, Yanhara said a moment later. If you do it, then I will do it as well. When you nodded, Yuan then said, You guys really don't need to do this. If I didn't trust you guys, I wouldn't have said anything out loud. Little founder, this is not just about you. This is also about our trust for each other. He clearly doesn't trust me, but I don't blame him since I don't trust him either, Yanhara said. When you nodded, agreeing with Yanhara's words. Then allow me to start. Tang Zheng raised his hand above his head and spoke. With heaven as my witness, I swear that I will not tell anyone that isn't here right now about what just happened. If I break this oath, may the heavens shatter my soul as punishment. A golden light flickered on Tang Zheng's forehead the next second, which meant that the heavenly oath was a success. Yanhara and Wan Yu followed suit after Tang Zheng by making their own oath. There. Are you happy now? Van Hara glared at Wan Yu afterward. Yes, very happy. Wan Yu shrugged. He then turned to look at Yuan and said, Anyways, if you truly intend on removing Wan Chu from his position, don't wait too long because the demon sealing grotto definitely won't be waiting for you. Yuan nodded and he asked, Do you know when the demon sealing grotto might act? Well, as heated as things are right now, I doubt anything significant would happen for a few more years. This is a very sensitive situation that could result in war between the two clans. However, I wouldn't bet on anything. We don't know what Qianchu has planned after all. I will figure something out. You guys can just continue your life as normal. Yuan said. Normal, huh? I think it's a little too late for that, Tang Zheng sighed. What are you going to do now? Yanhara asked him. I am going to focus on increasing my own strength, he said. If you need anything, you can contact me. Anyways, do you want to visit the treasury now to redeem your points, or do you want to do it later? You have 1 year to use them before they are no longer valid. When you asked him sometime later, I want to do it now, Yuan said. All right. Follow us. Yuan nodded and proceeded to follow them to this secluded area behind the Grand Library, where a small pagoda was located. Sitting in front of this building was an old man, who appeared to be cultivating. Once they got close enough, the old man opened his eyes and spoke without opening his mouth, his calm voice resounding very clearly in their heads. What do you want? He's here to redeem his points, Wan Yu said. The old man narrowed his gaze at Yuan for a moment before gesturing for him. Go ahead. We'll wait for you out here, Yanhara said to him. Yuan nodded and approached the old man. Show me your necklace. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Yuan removed the necklace from the examination and handed it to the old man. HM. The old man's eyes widened with surprise after seeing how many points Yuan had acquired. He turned to look at Yanhara and the others with a look of disbelief on his face. It's real, senior, Wan Yu said with a smile on his face. There should only be enough demons within the Demon's Valley to acquire 1,500 points, but the fact that you have 2,211 points must mean that you have managed to defeat the abomination. The old man muttered in a low voice. He then placed the necklace on his forehead and closed his eyes. The necklace suddenly began glowing, and Yuan's fight with the abomination that it had recorded replayed inside the old man's head. The technique you used to create those golden swords. What is it called? The old man asked Yuan with a serious expression on his face. Swords of Binding Light. Yuan responded without hesitation. Are you sure it's not called Swords of Eternal Torment? The old man narrowed his eyes. Swords of Eternal Torment? What's that? Yuan raised his eyebrows in a puzzled manner, looking like he'd genuinely never heard of such a technique before. Seeing Yuan's reaction, the old man shook his head. Forget it. Somebody probably took inspiration from swords of eternal torment for their own technique. It happens quite often. He sighed inwardly. All right, follow me. The old man stood up and led Yuan into the pagoda. Once inside the pagoda, Yuan was greeted by hundreds of treasures on display on the ground, and even on the walls. You have an hour. Do not touch any of the treasures. They are protected by a powerful array. If you want a treasure, let me know, unless you want to experience the power of these arrays. The old man said to him. Yuan nodded and immediately began looking at the demon-sealing treasures. Most of the treasures there required between 200 to 500 points, so Yuan could potentially acquire 20 treasures from that place if he picked only the cheapest treasures. However, he didn't do that. In fact, he wasn't interested in any of the treasures there. After a quick walkthrough around the room, Yuan turned to look at the old man and said, None of these treasures interest me. I want to take a look at the treasures on the next floor. Chapter 845. Published at 10th of April, 2022, 3:37 and 40 seconds p.m. Chapter 845. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 845. Demon Warding Talisman. None of the treasures here interests you? You're a picky one, aren't you? The old man laughed out loud. This is his first time meeting someone who couldn't be swayed by the treasures on the first floor. Either the three outside didn't tell you or you just don't care, but you do not qualify to see the other floors. The old man then said. But he closed his eyes to ponder. After a few moments of silence he spoke, but since you managed to defeat the abomination, and seem to have a bright future ahead of you, I will make this an exception, and allow you to claim a treasure from the next floor. Thank you, Senior. Yuan clasped his hands and bowed to him in a respectful manner. Don't thank me just yet. I said a treasure, so you will only be allowed to choose one treasure even if you have enough points for more. If you stay down here, you can buy as many treasures as you'd like. What is your decision? I would still like to see the next floor. Yuan immediately responded without hesitation. None of the treasures on this floor were good enough in his eyes, so it wouldn't matter if he could buy multiple of them. Very well, follow me. The old man nodded, and he proceeded to walk to the next floor with Yuan following right behind him. A few moments later, Yuan stepped foot inside the second floor. Although there were far less treasures on this floor at glance, there was a powerful pressure on this floor that didn't exist on the first floor, and it made it harder to breathe for Yuan, as his cultivation level was too weak to stand beside these powerful treasures. However, he endured the intense pressure and began walking around the room. There were swords, spears, bows, daggers, all sorts of weapons on this floor, but none of them interested him. These treasures would have definitely been enough before I acquired the Divine Paragon's memories, but now, they just feel so lackluster. Yuan sighed inwardly. After reaching the end of the room, Yuan suddenly stopped before a red ring that had been resting inside a display case for an unknown amount of time. He didn't recognize this ring, but he had feeling that he had seen it before. What is this treasure? Yuan decided to ask the old man. The old man approached him and the treasure before speaking. Nobody really knows the usage for this treasure or how to use it, but it used to belong to the Divine Paragon, at least according to the rumors. There is no concrete proof that it belongs to the Divine Paragon, but some people during his era claimed that they have seen him with it. How much is it? Yuan asked. He figured that the reason he felt like he had seen the ring before was because it belonged to the Divine Paragon. I probably don't recognize it because I don't have the memories for it yet, but I do believe that it belonged to the Divine Paragon. As for its purpose, I will find out once I regain those memories. Hopefully, it's worth it, he thought to himself. It's worth 2,000 points. The old man said. That expensive? Even though it doesn't have any usage? Yuan was surprised to hear this. Well, anything related to the Divine Paragon is extremely valuable even if it has no real uses. Even wooden branch that had been touched by Divine Paragon for a brief moment can be worth more than actual treasures. There are some collectors out there that are obsessed with this kind of stuff. The old man explained. I understand that, but you just said it is just a rumor that it belonged to the Divine Paragon. What if it turns out to be Soma random ring? Yuan asked. Even if that is the case, this ring has some value. Yes, it contains massive amount of demon sealing aura within it. The only problem is nobody knows how to extract it or use it. How about this? If you decide to buy this treasure, I will change the rules at 8 and let you buy another treasure from the first floor. Dear. Yuan immediately agreed. Then it's decided that you want this ring? The old man asked for confirmation. Yes, I want this ring. He confirmed. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Very well. The old man then removed the array protecting the display case and retrieved the red ring from within before handing it to Yuan. Ding. Sealed ring grade. Description. A mysterious ring that is said to belong to the Divine Paragon, founder of the Demon Sealing clan. It contains a massive amount of demon sealing aura within. You have 211 more points. Yuan returned to the first floor with the old man. After looking through the treasures once more, Yuan pointed at a specific treasure that was priced at 200 points. I want this treasure. Very one. The old man handed the treasure Yuan picked to him shortly after removing the array. Demon Warding Talisman grade. Divine. Description. Activating the Demon Warding Talisman will create a powerful barrier around the user, preventing most demons from approaching. It can also be used to contain demons. Requires 24 hours before it can be activated again. Since you have 11 points left that cannot be used to purchase anything, I will exchange them for Spirey Stones. Hem you go. The old man handed Yuan a storage pouch that contained 11,000 spirit stones. Thank you. Yuan bowed to the old man afterward. I have a feeling that we will be seeing each other again soon. Good luck, young demon seeder. The old man sent Yuan away with a profound smile on his face. After leaving the pagoda, Yuan returned to the others that had been waiting outside this entire time. What did you get? Show me. Yenher asked him in a curious voice the moment he returned. Chapter 846. Published at 16th of April, 2022, 8:51 and 15 seconds p.m. Chapter 846. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. I picked these two treasures. Yuan showed Yenhara and the others his new treasures. Huh? Only 2 treasures? That's not right. You had over 2,000 points. Yenhara said with a puzzled look on her face. That should be the Demon Sealing Ward, and it was only 200 points the last time I saw it. However, I don't recognize that ring. I know that ring, but it belonged to the second floor. I'm surprised the old man allowed you to go upstairs since only Master Demon Sealers qualify to go there. One you said. And he continued. But why did you choose that treasure out of everything you could have picked from that floor? I am going to be honest. You wasted your points on that ring. What kind of demon sealing treasure is that? Yenhara asked. It's not really a demon sealing treasure. It is rumored to belong to the Divine Paragon, but there is no real evidence to back up such a rumor. That ring also has a massive amount of demon sealing aura stored within it, but nobody knows how to extract it from the ring. In fact, nobody even knows how to use the ring, or what it's used for. How many points did you spend on this ring? Yenhara asked Yuan in a nervous voice. 2,000 points. He said. For more visit. Mount Novel. Come 2,000. Yenhara exclaimed. Heavens! Little founder. How could you waste so many points on such a worthless ring? That shrewd old man must have tricked you into buying it with some bullshit, right? Come with me. We are going to ask for a refund. Calm down, senior. I was not tricked. I know about the rumors and that nobody knows how to use it. Yuan quickly said. And you still purchased it? Why would you do such a thing? Yenhara asked with a bewildered look on her face. 2,000 points is no small amount. In fact, this is the first time that someone has acquired this many points, yet he wasted it on a useless ring that has no real practical uses when he could have claimed a powerful demon sealing treasure instead? It didn't make any sense. To be completely honest, I don't know why I got it. I just had a feeling that I needed it. You got it because of a gut feeling. Unbelievable. Yenhara was truly speechless now. You know what they say. The more talented they are, the more eccentric. That is why ordinary people can never understand geniuses. Wan Yu shrugged. Whatever. Yanhara rubbed her temples and sighed. Anyways, if it's your choice to pick that ring, then I won't say anything else. I really hope you don't regret it. Yuan nodded. Sometime later, Yuan walked outside the Grand Library with the other three. Senior, I am going to return in a month to challenge the Demon Ceiling Pagoda again. I have a feeling that I am going to defeat the 4th floor this time, Yuan said. A month, right? I understand. You have my communication jade slip anyway. See you later, Yuan. After saying their goodbyes, Yuan left the Grand Library and returned to Spirit Heaven. Do you really think he has what it takes to remove Qianchu from his position? Wan Yu asked the other two afterward. And he continued. I have my own hopes, but I don't have any expectations. He will without doubt become the next leader. I will make sure of it. That has been my goal even before today. Yanhara calmly responded. Tang Zheng then spoke. He definitely has the talent, but I don't know if he'll have the time. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. In the end, we can only hope that fate will guide him towards the right path. After returning to the myriad of techniques, Yuan sighed inwardly, the Demon Ceiling Clan and the Demon Ceiling Grotto. How troublesome. Even though he said that he will remove Qianchu from his position, it was much easier said than done. In the end, he can only put that thought behind his mind for now and focus on getting stronger. Upon leaving the myriad of techniques, Yuan was greeted by a dark sky and the same chilling sensation from the Demon's Valley during the examination. As he left the narrow alleyway and entered the street, Yuan could hear joyful laughter resounding from the street. Did the people of this city finally decide to leave their houses? Yuan muttered to himself. Feng Yuxiang appeared beside him and said, Please be careful, young master. I sense something off about them. Yuan nodded as he entered the street with Feng Yuxiang following close behind him. He looked around to see many masked people dancing and singing on the street, almost as though there was an active festival, but the atmosphere did not feel normal, like there was something eerie about it. Young master, let's just go straight to the Demon's Valley. Feng Yuxiang said to him. Yuan nodded. Yes, let's go. However, right as he was prepared to leave, the people there suddenly stopped dancing, and they all turned to look at him in silence. Yuan swallowed nervously, and he quickly said, Feng, let's just fly out of here. And before the people there could even react, Yuan flew into the sky and disappeared from their view. Once in the air, Yuan and Feng Yuxiang began flying towards the Demon's Valley. We should be able to see the Demon's Valley very soon, Feng Yuxiang said. Half an hour later, deformed mountains started popping up in the horizon. Once Yuan could see the Demon's Valley more clearly, he said, This place looks nothing like the Demon's Valley from the examination. Compared to the Demon's Valley in the Grand Library that had normal-looking mountains, the mountains in this place were mostly deformed, like they had been crushed by giants, and some of them were even riddled with holes. There was also not a single living tree or blade of grass to be seen, and the miasma was so thick that one could see it with their bare eyes in the form of a red fog that shrouded the Demon's Valley. Chapter 847. Published at 12th of April, 2022, 10:39 and 11 seconds AM. Chapter 847. 847. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 847. Suspicious woman. This red fog is probably the reason the people in the nameless town are losing their minds. Yuan mumbled in a low voice. How are you feeling, young master? Feng Yuxiang asked him. My legs feel a little cold, but that's about it. Young master, can you hold my hands for a moment? She suddenly extended her hand for him. Yuan didn't think too much about it and held her hand. The very next moment, Yuan could feel a burning yet comfortable sensation flowing throughout his body, and the cold feeling in his legs quickly disappeared. What was that? Yuan asked her. I just used my phoenix flames to warm up your body. Your veins are burning with my phoenix flames right now, which is warding off the miasma. Be burning. Yuan's eyes widened. He wasn't worried that it could hurt him. It was just terrifying to think that his body was literally burning on the inside. Don't worry, young master. It won't hurt you. Feng Yuxiang chuckled at his reaction. I know, but it still feels weird. Yuan said. Ying, are you okay with the miasma? He asked her. Yes, I am fine. Just like Miss Feng, I am not affected by it. In fact, the miasma is actually trying to avoid me. It's probably because of my sacred flame. Sacred flames, according to the divine paragon's memories, besides demon sealing aura, there exists another element in this world that can effectively destroy demons, and that element exists within Lan Yingying's sacred flames, divine attribute. Not much is known about divine attributes since it is a power that cannot be wielded by human cultivators. In fact, only divine beasts have ever wielded such powers before. Young master. Feng Yuxiang suddenly called for him. There is a person ahead. She pointed at a middle-aged woman who was pacing back and forth the entrance of the Demon's Valley, and she appeared to be very distraught. When Yuan saw her expression, he couldn't help but feel pity for her. Let's see what happened. Be careful. She might be from the nameless town. Feng Yuxiang quickly warned him. I don't sense anything wrong with her. It should be fine. Yuan nodded. He descended before the woman a moment later and asked her, Excuse me, are you okay? The middle-aged woman was startled by Yuan's sudden appearance, but when she realized that he was a cultivator, she immediately approached him and asked, I am mortal cultivator. Are you heading inside the Demon's Valley? Yes, I am. Please. Can you please help me? My son went inside the Demon's Valley a week ago to hunt magical beasts with his friends, and he promised that he would be home 2 days ago, but he still hasn't returned. I tried looking for his friends, but they are also missing. I am worried to death that something might happen to him. The woman pleaded with him. As cruel as it may sound, Yuan had a feeling that her son was no longer in this world. However, he didn't want to say it to the already grieving mother, so he asked, Do you know where he usually hunts? I can take a look around that area, and if I find him, I will bring him back to you. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. My son usually hunts near the Red Pond. I will definitely repay this debt. Yuan nodded. This might take a while, so you can return home for now. It's okay. I will wait here just in case my son comes out by himself, she said. Are you sure? This place is very dangerous even for cultivators, much less a mortal like you. Yuan expressed his worries. The woman nodded and said, I have been here for 2 days now. I think I will be fine for another day or 2. If you say so, I will try to be back before sunrise. Be careful. Yuan said to her. I will. Once again, thank you. The woman bowed to him. Ding. Quest, Grieving Mother's Plea. Location Demon's Valley. Difficulty, Hard Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Description. Search around the Red Pond for the grieving mother's missing son. A quest, huh? Been a while. Yuan thought to himself as he glanced over the quest details. Are you ready? Yuan turned to ask Feng Yuxiang, who was staring at the woman with a pondering face. Yes, I am ready. Feng Yuxiang nodded. Then let's help this woman before we look for our person. Okay. Yuan entered the Demon's Valley with Feng Yuxiang shortly after. Once they were inside the Demon's Valley, and could no longer see the woman, Feng Yuxiang spoke. Young master, there's definitely something very weird about that woman. What? Yuan asked. Despite being immortal, she could somehow stand so close to the Demon's Valley without being affected by the miasma. That's not possible. Feng Yuxiang explained. That. I also noticed it, but I didn't sense any bad vibes from her, so I decided to help her anyway. Yuan said. You are still willing to help her even though there's a very good chance that she might be setting a trap for you? That's very reckless of you, young master. Feng Yuxiang was dumbfounded. Reckless? Maybe. But I really hope it's actually a trap so that I can put an end to it. If I ignore it, this trap will continue to exist and harm others. Yuan said, explaining why he agreed to help the woman. Young master. Feng Yuxiang did not expect this to be the real reason why Yuan decided to help this suspicious woman. Anyways, the Red Pond isn't that far away, so we should arrive soon. How do you know where this place is? Did you acquire a map of this place? Feng Yuxiang asked. Not a map, but it's even better than it. Yuan pointed at his head and smiled. The divine paragon's memories. He's been to this place before, so I also know this place like it's at the back of my hand now. Feng Yuxiang's mouth dropped wide open. Are you sure we can trust those memories? I guess we'll find out after we arrive at the location. Yuan chuckled. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 848. Published at 12th of April, 2022, 10:39 and 10 seconds AM. Chapter 848. 848. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 848. Red Pond. We have arrived at Red Pond, at least what's left of it. Yuan said as they approached this massive, dried-up hole in the ground from the sky. This is the Red Pond? There's nothing red about this, and a pond should have water. Feng Yuxiang raised her eyebrows when she saw the scene. Well, that was millions of years ago. That circle used to be a pond filled with red water. Rumors say the red water was actually human blood, and demons used to bathe and drink from it. Yuan sighed. Anyways, this proves that my memories can be trusted. What do you think? He looked at Feng Yuxiang. I think so too, she nodded. Let's take a look around. Yuan descended from the sky a moment later, landing right beside the empty pond. However, upon closer inspection, the red pond wasn't completely empty, as there appeared to be human remains in the form of bones at the bottom of the pond. He proceeded to stare at it with a dazed expression on his face. Inside his mind, memories of the red pond flowed. The pond was filled to the brim with crimson liquid that resembled blood, and there were hundreds of demons bathing within the water, while the divine paragon spied on them from the sky. No, the rumor was true. The red water was human blood, and the bottom of this pond was filled with human remains. He could still feel the burning emotions the divine paragon felt when he first saw the scene of demons bathing in human blood, and the horrendous scent that assaulted his nose. In order to keep this red pond filled, demons killed thousands of people every single day. After recalling these highly unpleasant memories, Yuan suddenly felt an urge to puke. Young master, are you okay? Feng Yuxiang asked him when she noticed his face becoming paler. Yes, I just recalled some unpleasant memories, that's all, he said. Feng Yuxiang held a worried look on her face. Although she doesn't know what kind of memoirs Yuan was seeing, she knew that it wasn't good for his mental health. Anyways, let's look around for that woman's son. Yuan used his divine sense to search for any clues. I couldn't find anything, not even a footprint. What about you, Feng Feng? Yuan asked her a moment later. She shook her head and said, I didn't find anything either. This either means the woman was lying about her son, or her son never came to this area. Let's expand our search a little more before we come to any conclusions. Yuan said, Okay. They returned to the air shortly after, and began flying around the red pond. About half an hour later, they gave up on the search when they found no clues and returned to the red pond. Let's forget about that woman's missing son. If he even exists, Feng Yuxiang said. Yuan sighed. At the very least, we should let the mother know that we couldn't find him. Okay. Feng Yuxiang nodded. However, just as Yuan prepared to leave the scene, his body suddenly halted. Young master? What are you waiting for? Feng Yuxiang asked him from the sky. After a moment of silence, a slight smile appeared on Yuan's face, and he spoke in a calm voice. I can smell demons. What? Feng Yuxiang's eyes widened with surprise. Yuan turned to look in a certain direction and continued. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 demons nearby. Really? What should we do? Isn't it obvious? I am going to kill them. Yuan responded in a nonchalant manner. According to my memories, there is a cave that demons used as a stronghold not far from here. They are probably hiding within this cave. Now that he's sensed these demons, Yuan immediately began flying towards the direction of their scent. How weird. Why didn't I smell their scent before? Yuan wondered to himself as he quickly approached the demon's scent. About 15 minutes later, Yuan stopped moving and gazed upon the cave entrance below him. The demons are inside this cave? Feng Yuxiang asked. Yuan nodded, and he said, yes, but for some reason their scent is getting weaker. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Lan Yingying suddenly appeared beside him and said, there must be something in the cave that conceals their presence and scent. Yingying, how are you feeling? Yuan asked her. I am feeling great. I just finished converting all of the magical beasts into spiritual energy, allowing me to break through and become a spirit lord. Congratulations. Yuan said. Thank you, but I am still miles behind Miss Feng and Xiaohua. With your talents, I'm sure you'll catch up to us in no time. Feng Yuxiang smiled. Lan Yingying nodded, and she turned to look at Yuan. Allow me to help you with these demons. I want to see my progress. Okay. Yuan agreed without any hesitation. Thank you. They descended to the cave entrance a moment later. So dark. Yuan mumbled in a low voice when he couldn't see more than a few inches inside the cave with his bare eyes despite having enhanced senses. When she heard his words, Feng Yuxiang summoned a ball of flame that hovered above them to light the cave. Are you guys ready? Yuan asked them as he summoned the Empyrean Overlord. Ready. They nodded. And without any hesitation, Yuan walked inside this cave. Upon entering the cave, Yuan realized that it was filled with skeletons just like the Red Pond. After walking for a couple of minutes without seeing any signs of demons, they were forced to stop, as the path came to a dead end. A dead end? That's not possible. I clearly picked up their scent from this place. Yuan stood there and looked around with a pondering expression on his face. What if the demons had already left? Feng Yuxiang said. I would know if they had left, but their scent lingered in this place until it disappeared shortly after we entered this cave. Maybe there is a secret passage or something. Let's look around. Yuan said. Okay. They nodded. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 849. Published at 12th of April, 2022, 10:39 and 9 seconds AM. Chapter 849. 849. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 849. Hidden passage. Although the cave was quite spacious and wide, it had a linear interior, meaning there was only a single path for Yuan and the others to traverse. However, even after walking back and forth this cave multiple rounds, they were unable to find any secret passages that the demons could have used to hide themselves. I don't see any formations in this place. If there's really a secret passage, it's not concealed by a formation. Or it's concealed by a formation that's so powerful that even I cannot see it. However, demons don't have the power to create formations or arrays. Yuan said. I also don't see anything out of the ordinary with my divine sense. Feng Yuxiang said. And she continued in a worried voice. What if this is a trap? We should probably leave this cave for now. Wait. Lan Yingying suddenly said. What is it? Do you see something? Yuan turned to look at her. I'm not sure, but that area feels off for some reason. The ground. Lan Yingying pointed at the ground right before the dead end. The ground? Yuan walked over to where Lan Yingying pointed, and inspected the ground. When he couldn't find anything wrong with it, he decided to stomp on the ground. Yuan raised his eyebrows when he felt a hollow feedback from the stomp. It's empty here, he said to them before stabbing into the ground with the Empyrean Overlord. The ground immediately collapsed, revealing a hidden staircase that led underground. Furthermore, the scent of demons that had disappeared suddenly appeared again. I can smell them again. Demons. They're below us. Yuan quickly said. How did we miss such an obvious passage? This must be the work of a treasure that can misdirect our senses. We should be careful, young master. Feng Yuxiang warned him. Good idea, especially since I can smell more than 3 demons now. Yuan suddenly said. Huh. How many demons can you smell? Feng Yuxiang asked. After taking a few deep breaths, Yuan replied. About 7 or 8. 7 or 8. That many? Lan Yingying was speechless. Don't worry, they don't seem very strong. The strongest one appears to be a peak spirit king, but it's only a low-ranking demon. If you say so, she nodded. Young master, allow me to go first, Feng Yuxiang said. Yuan nodded, but before walking the staircase, Yuan wore his mask. Why the mask? Feng Yuxiang asked. It won't be fun if the demons recognize me, he chuckled. Feng Yuxiang was speechless. He's treating this like a game. She sighed inwardly. Sometime later, they began descending the narrow staircase. Many minutes later, at the end of the staircase, they entered a spacious room with multiple paths to choose from. Which way? Feng Yuxiang turned to look at Yuan, who was already pointing to a path. I understand. Feng Yuxiang, without hesitation, began walking towards the path picked by Yuan. I'm surprised you can smell the demons from so far away. How do you do it? Lan Yingying asked him. I don't know. I just instinctively know their location when I smell them, and they have this very distinctive scent that's hard to miss. Yuan shrugged. Even though he was unable to smell demons before acquiring the Divine Paragon's memories and experience, Lan Yingying tried to smell this distinctive scent that Yuan spoke of, but she was not successful. After walking for 10 minutes straight, Feng Yuxiang came to a stop when she arrived at a dead end in the form of a cliff. However, once they were actually standing on this cliff, they were amazed by the scenery before them. This is a city? Yuan mumbled in a low voice as he gazed upon a city that had already been reduced to ruins. Although the city wasn't so large that he couldn't see the end, it was still quite shocking to find a city of this size beneath the Demon's Valley. This place isn't in the Divine Paragon's memories, but since I only have a small fraction of his memories, I wouldn't be surprised if he found this place later. Yuan thought to himself. After all, if nobody knew about this place, it would still be populated by demons right now. What now, young master? Should we hunt them one by one? At least until they notice our presence? Feng Yuxiang asked him. No, that would take too much time. Well, gather and deal with all of them at once, Yuan said with an excited smile on his face. How are we going to do that? Feng Yuxiang asked. Like this. Yuan suddenly released his demon sealing aura, instantly filling the entire underground city with his presence. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The very next moment, 8 different auras appeared in response to Yuan's provocation. They're coming. Yuan warned them. Feng Yuxiang and Lan Yingying immediately prepared for battle, while Yuan continued to stand there in a calm manner, and they watched as 8 red-skinned demons emerged from the city, before flying towards them. In less than 10 seconds after Yuan announced their presence, all 8 demons stood before them. How did you find this place, human? The demon emitting the aura of a peak spirit king asked. Yuan pointed at his own face and said, I followed your scent. Our scent? What are you, a dog? No, not even a dog would be able to do that. And it continued, whatever. It doesn't matter how you found this place. It was foolish of you to come here with just the 3 of you. Ah, it's been thousands of years since I've tasted human flesh and blood. I call dibs on that woman with the smooth-looking skin beside him. She looks incredibly delicious. One of the demons suddenly pointed at Lan Yingying. Then I want that big-breasted woman. I bet her meat is incredibly tender and juicy. Another demon laughed as it pointed at Feng Yuxiang. Unlike that masked person, they don't smell human. They must be magical beasts disguised as humans. Who cares if they are humans or magical beasts? All it matters is how they taste, and I am starving. Let's get him. However, before the demons could even move 2 steps, Yuan released his demon sealing aura. Demon Sealing Zone. With a wave of his sleeve, Yuan confined all 8 demons in the Demon Sealing Zone, taking them by surprise. What the fuck is this? This feeling. It's the Demon Sealing Zone. What? The Demon Sealing Zone. Impossible. The demons were confused and terrified at the same time. After all, only very few people within the Demon Sealing clan can use the Demon Sealing Zone, and they are mostly high-ranking demon sealers. However, Yuan's cultivation level was too weak to be a high-ranking demon sealer, hence why they thought nothing about him, until now. After capturing the demons, Yuan approached them and spoke in a calm voice. I'm interested in something. If you answer my question, I will let you out of the demon sealing zone. Umph. As if we will believe you. The demon sneered. Yuan ignored their response and began questioning them anyway. Let's start with an easy one. How long have you lowly demons been hiding down here? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 850. Published at 12th of April, 2022, 10:39 and 8 seconds AM. Chapter 850. 850. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 850. Hibernation. The answer is go fuck yourself. One of the 8 demons cursed out loud in response to Yuan's question. Yuan merely shook his head and said, I will ask you again. How long have you been hiding in this underground city? I might consider answering if you throw one of your friends in here. I'm too hungry to answer your questions after all. Another demon answered. Haha. Good one. That's right. Well, answer your questions in exchange for those women behind you. How about a limb per question? Yuan sighed at their response. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Swords of eternal torment. With the snap of his fingers, 3 golden swords appeared above the demons. What the heck is that? The demons tilted their heads to look at the swords. I will not repeat myself, Yuan said to them with a solemn expression on his face. The demons swallowed nervously. Although the demons didn't recognize the technique, they instinctively feared it. And we will not repeat ourselves. Fuck yo. Yuan moved his finger in a downward motion, and before the demon could even finish its sentence, one of the golden swords fell from the sky and stabbed itself right in the center of the demon's chest. Awaya. The demon suddenly roared in a painful voice, startling the other demons. Hey, what's wrong? The demons immediately knew that something was off. After all, they shouldn't feel pain as demons. Yet their buddy that just got struck was definitely screaming in pain. And it appeared to be suffering excruciating pain. That technique removes your pain tolerance, so you'll feel pain just like the rest of us. Yuan explained to them the effects of the technique, which only terrified them even more. Regardless of their rank, demons greatly depend on their insane regenerating ability and lack of ability to feel pain, as these 2 talents allow demons to become fearless creatures. However, without even one of these techniques, the demons immediately become a flawed existence. Please, get this thing off me. The demon pleaded as blood flowed from its eyes. However, Yuan merely stood there and silently watched with a nonchalant expression on his face. He clearly couldn't care less about the demon, nor the pain it was feeling. After torturing the demon for a few more minutes while ignoring the other demons the entire time, Yuan finally spoke. My questions, do you feel like answering them now? Millions of years. We have been down here ever since the Demon Sealing clan defeated the Demon clan. The demon with the golden sword stuck between its chest answered. Very good. Yuan removed the golden sword from the demon afterward, and he continued to ask, so you stayed down here for millions of years without leaving this place even once? How do you stay sane? We hibernate. The demon quickly responded to his question again, and it continued. We demons can hibernate for tens of thousands of years at once. However, that doesn't mean we can sleep for millions of years without any breaks. When we come out of our hibernation, we will leave this place briefly to hunt for food in the surrounding areas. Once we're full, we will hibernate again. Hibernation, huh? If I recall correctly, this is also how you demons increase your strength. Yuan said. That's right. But we only resort to that when we cannot acquire enough resources to strengthen ourselves. The demon nodded. Yuan laughed out loud after hearing its words, and he said in a mocking tone, The 8 of you have hibernated for millions of years. Yet this is the level of your strength? Were you spirit apprentices before you decided to live here? How pitiful. I guess this is because of your immortality. After all, you can't be immortal and have a fast growth rate, or that would be utterly broken. The demons gritted their teeth in anger after hearing Yuan's words, but they couldn't rebuke his claims as it was true. In exchange for their immortality and talents, demons are at the rock bottom when it comes to growth. For example, if an ordinary human cultivator at the first level spirit apprentice wanted to reach the second level, they would need at least a couple of weeks if not months. Meanwhile, demons at the same level would require low times the amount of time if not more to achieve the same results. Of course, this restriction only exists in low-ranking demons like these 8 demons. Higher-ranking demons would require much less time. And some of them even outright lack this restriction. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. Anyways, since you have answered my questions, I will now let you out of the demon ceiling zone. Yuan suddenly said. Oh really? The demon was in disbelief. Yes, but you're not completely free just yet. Yuan said. And he turned to look at Lan Yingying. You wanted to test yourself, right? I will let you have this one. Are you sure? He nodded at her before returning to the demon. If you can defeat my friend, I will let you live. I also won't interfere with your fight, even if you kill her. A wide grin appeared on the demon's face after hearing Yuan's words. Say no more. Yuan flicked his sleeves, pulling the demon out of the demon ceiling zone. This demon was at the peak of Spirit Lord while Lan Yingying was only at the first level of Spirit Lord. However, Yuan wasn't feeling worried at all, as he was confident in Lan Yingying's ability. Young master, are you sure this is a good idea? Feng Yuxiang, on the other hand, didn't have the same confidence as him. Although she has seen Lan Yingying fight magical beasts before during their little journey in the lower heavens, that was not nearly enough to convince her that Lan Yingying will be okay in this fight. She'll be fine. Have some faith in her. Yuan smiled. The Divine Paragon's memories are clearly affecting him. If this occurred a month ago, the young master would not have allowed her to be in such a risky situation. However, this is the kind of characteristic that is required to survive in the cultivation world, especially once he traverses the upper heavens. Feng Yuxiang sighed inwardly. On one hand, she was relieved that Yuan was finally growing up to be more like a cultivator just like how she always wanted, but on the other hand, she was worried that he might be changing too fast, as it could have negative effects on him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 851. Published at 12th of April, 2022, 10:39 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 851. 851. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 851. False incense. Lan Yingying calmly approached the demon after it was released from the demon ceiling zone. I wasn't able to help my parents or my grandparents in the mystic realm, but I have grown stronger. If I cannot even deal with a single demon, I am not fit to serve him. Lan Yingying held a solemn expression on her face. Her black hair suddenly turned white, and her azure eyes turned pink. What kind of magical beast are you? You must be really special if you can transform into a human at that level of cultivation. The demon licked its lips as it glared at Lan Yingying. Magical beast? Try divine beast. She calmly responded. She's a divine beast. The demons were surprised to learn that Lan Yingying was actually a divine beast. Ha ha. What luck. I have never tasted flesh or blood from a divine beast before. You'll be my first. The demon fighting her began laughing out loud. I cannot wait. The demon suddenly flew at Lan Yingying with its mouth wide open. Sacred fire. Lan Yingying lifted her arm and pointed her palm at the incoming demon before shooting a large ball of white flames at it. Due to its arrogance and confidence in its immortal body, the demon didn't even bother blocking or avoiding the flames and ran straight into it, allowing the flames to consume its body. Is this all you've got? Flames don't work against us demons. Despite its whole body being engulfed in flames, the demon did not appear even slightly worried about the flames and continued to rush at Lan Yingying, as it was confident that it could easily regenerate faster than the flames could destroy it. Eat this, bloody. The demon suddenly halted its movements when it was about to launch an attack on Lan Yingying. What's happening to my body? Why aren't my injuries recovering? The demon looked down at its body with a puzzled face. What is this? What the fuck did you do? The demon immediately started trying to put out the white flames burning its body, but its efforts were futile, as the flames continued to slowly destroy the demon's body. Lan Yingying watched the demon slowly being consumed by her sacred fire and said, "My sacred fire is of divine attributes, which is really effective against demons. I hope you like it." Divine attributes. Don't fuck with me, you damn beast. The demon stopped trying to put out the flames and started attacking Lan Yingying, hoping that he'd kill her before the flames completely consumed it. Even though the demon could not feel any pain from the sacred fire, its movements were greatly affected by the injuries on its body, making it incredibly sluggish and easy to dodge for Lan Yingying. It's not dying fast enough. I need something stronger. Lan Yingying thought to herself as she distanced herself from the demon. Fiery lotus. Lan Yingying took a moment to create a beautiful lotus made out of her sacred fire before launching it at the demon. Boom. The entire underground shook briefly when the fiery lotus exploded in front of the demon. Aha! The demon released one last deafening roar before Lan Yingying's sacred flames completely erased it from existence. After killing the demon, Lan Yingying went to collect its demon core. Unbelievable. She actually took care of that demon with relative ease. Feng Yuxiang thought to herself after witnessing Lan Yingying's prowess. Yingying, your sacred fire has improved tremendously since I last saw it. Yuan said to her with a smile on his face. Thank you, but I am not satisfied. Compared to my grandparents, my sacred fire is still too weak. The only reason I won so quickly is because that demon had underestimated my flames. Lan Yingying said. Then would you like to fight another demon? Yuan asked. Lan Yingying nodded her head without any hesitation. Alright, give me a moment. He turned to look at the 7 demons remaining, and they all held a solemn expression on their faces. Let's continue with the questioning. Whoever answers my questions will get to fight my friend. He said to them. My next question is, what trick did you use to conceal your scent and the hidden passage? The demons hesitated to answer his question. I won't ask again. Yuan raised his hand, causing the golden swords to tremble. A treasure. One of the demons suddenly said. Oh, tell me about this treasure. Yuan turned to look at this demon that was also a peak spirit lord. It's a treasure that can create realistic illusions and conceals presences to a certain extent. We used it to conceal the hidden passage and erase our presence and smell. Where is this treasure now? Yuan continued asking. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. The demon turned to look at a certain house in the city below and pointed to it. It's in that building. Allow me, young master. Feng Yuxiang said to him before going down to the city and searching the building with the treasure. She returned a few minutes later with what appeared to be an incense holder made out of jade. Here you go, young master. Feng Yuxiang handed him the treasure. Oh, so this is the treasure, huh? I wasn't expecting it to have such an appearance. False incense, grade, ancient, quality, peak, description. Allows the user to create realistic illusions and conceal presences. Can only have one illusion active at a time. Wow, this is a really useful treasure. Yuan inspected the treasure with a smile on his face before storing it inside his spatial ring. Alright, you can fight my friend now. He turned to look at Lan Yingying. Whenever you're ready. I am ready. She nodded. Yuan removed the demon from the demon sealing zone a moment later. Lan Yingying and the demon began fighting each other shortly after. Sacred fire. However, as expected, the demon didn't dare to touch her sacred fire and dodged it instead. You only defeated the previous demon because of its arrogance. I won't make the same mistake. The demon laughed as it launched a counterattack. Bloodshot. Hundreds of red projectiles flew at Lan Yingying. Sacred fire. Lan Yingying created a wall of fire before her, instantly burning all of the projectiles that touched it. Looks like I have to go all out if I want to defeat this demon. Lan Yingying said to herself before transforming into her beast form. Wow. Not only did her strength grow, but even her size grew a substantial amount. Yuan mumbled in a low voice when he stared at Lan Yingying, who was now a massive serpent. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 852. Published at 12th of April, 2022, 4:09 p.m. Chapter 852. 852. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 852. Just an ordinary demon sealer compared to her size in the mystic realm. Lan Yingying's serpent body is now doubled in size, so she was about 100 meters long, and her body was twice as thick. Do all divine beasts grow this big? Yuan asked Feng Yuxiang while his attention remained fixated on Lan Yingying. Yes, most divine beasts have very large frames. If I can transform into my phoenix form, I could easily cover an entire town with just one of my wings. An entire town? Now that is something I really want to see. After transforming into her serpent form, Lan Yingying began attacking the demon aggressively. Sacred fire. Lan Yingying suddenly breathed fire from her mouth, covering a large area. Shit! The demon was not prepared for Lan Yingying's attack and barely avoided her sacred fire. However, Lan Yingying was not done yet, and she immediately flew at the demon afterward. When she was close enough, Lan Yingying opened her mouth wide open before slamming it shut on the demon. Once she caught the demon with her mouth, Lan Yingying released another breath of sacred fire, incinerating the demon until it was reduced to nothing but its demon core. After killing the second demon with seemingly even less effort than the first, Lan Yingying returned to Yuan's side. I'm speechless, Yingying. You've really grown so much stronger. I think you can even deal with the rest of these demons by yourself if you wish. Yuan said to her. You flatter me, Yuan. I am nothing compared to you. Lan Yingying smiled. Well, do you want to fight the other demons too? He asked a moment later. Lan Yingying turned to look at the remaining 6 demons before shaking her head. Unfortunately, I don't think I can fight a spirit king yet. Read more. Visit all novel full. The demons Lan Yingying fought were both spirit lords, but the rest of these demons were all spirit king. The difference between Spirit Lord and Spirit King is very vast, even if it's just a single level from peak Spirit Lord to first level Spirit King. That's fine. I won't force you to fight them if you don't want to, Yuan said. And he turned to look at Feng Yuxiang. What about you, Feng Feng? Do you want to try fighting one? A bittersweet smile appeared on Feng Yuxiang's face as she spoke. As much as I want to impress the young master, I know my own capabilities. I may have a higher cultivator than Yingying, but I do not have the means to defeat demons at my level. They'll just regenerate any damage I deal to them. And while I do have techniques that can completely obliterate them, I do not have the cultivation to use them. I see. Even though we're both divine beasts, I'm sorry for being useless, she sighed. Don't think like that. You're not at fault here, and you're definitely not useless. We all have something we can and cannot do. Yuan shook his head. Anyways, since this is the case, I guess I should finish this. Yuan approached the 6 demons. Let's change things up a bit. Instead of fighting my friends, you'll be playing with me now, and to make things fair, I will fight all 6 of you at once. He said to the demons, dumbfounding them. This humiliation, I will definitely make you regret it. The Peak Spirit King demon gritted its teeth in anger, as it had never been treated like a toy before. And without any hesitation, Yuan walked into the demon sealing zone to be with the rest of the demons. Why, you arrogant bastard? Die for me. The demons wasted no time attacking him the moment he entered the demon sealing zone. After dodging their attacks, Yuan counterattacked with the Empyrean Overlord, slicing one of the demons there in half. And just as that demon expected to regenerate from its seemingly superficial wound, it realized that the other half of its body had turned into stone. Watch out for his sword. Don't let it hit you. The demon used what little time it had left to warn the others before turning into stone completely. However, even if they knew that Yuan's sword could seal them, there was very little they could do about it. Due to their enclosed area, there was simply nowhere they could run. Furthermore, they had to constantly worry about the golden swords above them, as Yuan could use them to strike at any moment. Many minutes later. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. This guy is playing with us. Just who is this human? The demons cried inwardly when they eventually realized that Yuan was going easy on them. What's wrong? Why are you stopping? Don't you want to taste my flesh? Drink my blood? Yuan calmly provoked the demons while being surrounded by them. If you want to die so much, let me help you. The Peak Spirit King demon suddenly exploded with chaotic energy. However, before it could really do anything, the two golden swords that had been on standby suddenly started moving again. The demon roared when the golden swords impaled its body. This is our chance. We don't have to worry about the golden swords anymore. The other demons realized this chance and attacked Yuan simultaneously. Suddenly, the other 4 demons started screaming in pain as well. Why you can summon more than 3 of these things? The demons were shocked to see more golden swords appear since they thought that he was limited to just 3. 3. Yuan raised his eyebrows. I don't know how you came to that conclusion, but he pointed above them. The demons subconsciously lifted their heads to look, and to their absolute shock, hundreds of golden swords that were not there a moment ago is now there. You. Who are you? The Peak Spirit King demon suddenly shouted out loud. I'm just an ordinary demon sealer that happened to come across this place by pure chance. Yuan responded. He then removed his mask to show the demons his face. Why you? The demons' faces immediately drained of all colors when they saw Yuan's face. No matter how many millions of years have passed, they could never forget the face of their worst nightmare. Divine Paragon. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 853. Published at 12th of April, 2022, for 1:08 p.m. Chapter 853. 853 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 853. Accepting their fate. Divine Paragon. Impossible. It can't be. No human cultivators could possibly live for so long. The demons were in disbelief after seeing Yuan's familiar face. After all, tens of millions of years have passed since the demon clan was defeated by the demon sealing clan. Even if a cultivator has achieved true immortality, it requires a miracle to live this long without encountering any mishaps, unless they were in seclusion for so long. Impossible? Even though I am standing right before you? Yuan said in a calm voice. You're a fake. A mere illusion. You may be able to disguise your appearance, but you can't hide your cultivation and smell. You're too young and weak to be the divine paragon. Is that so? Yuan suddenly turned to look at Lan Yingying and asked her, Can I get one of the demon cores? Lan Yingying nodded her head and handed him one of the demon cores she just received. Once the demon core was in his grasp, Yuan opened his mouth and tossed it inside, shocking the demons. After swallowing the demon core, Yuan opened his mouth to show the demons that had really consumed the demon core. Do you still doubt my identity? He asked them a moment later. Divine Paragon. All 5 demons fell to their knees after coming to the conclusion that Yuan was truly the divine paragon, as there is only one person in the 9 heavens capable of consuming demon cores. And once they came to this conclusion, they lost all will to fight. In fact, they could only remain still and tremble in fear. The demons even subconsciously stopped breathing from fear. Seeing the condition of these demons, Yuan thought to himself, they should be plenty terrified now. This is the best time to kill them and harvest their demon cores. And without hesitation, Yuan suddenly stretched his hand out, stabbing through one of the demon's chest and grabbing its crystal before destroying it. The demons were well aware that Yuan had just killed one of their companions, but none of them dared to move even a finger, and acted like they didn't see it. In their minds, there was no point resisting before the divine paragon. In fact, they might risk offending the divine paragon by resisting him, who is famous for torturing demons before consuming their demon cores. At least it will be a swift death. The demons sighed inwardly and accepted their fate. They have witnessed the divine paragon torture and kill its companions in the middle of an active battlefield before, and they wanted to avoid such a fate at all cost. even if they have to silently lie there and wait for their execution. So they're just going to accept their fate, huh? Yuan realized this as he killed the second demon. Not including the divine paragon's memories, this is his first time seeing demons give up in such a fashion. Yuan pitied these demons for a brief moment, but then he recalled the scene of demons bathing in the red pond, and many more terrible things that they have done to humans. A few moments later, Yuan approached the last demon alive, who was also the strongest demon in the group. Before you kill me, can I ask you a question? The demon suddenly spoke in a low voice. What? Read more. Visit all novel full. Is it true that you wiped out the demons within the demonic realm? The demon lifted its head and stared at Yuan with a profound expression. What do you think? Yuan responded with his own question. You're definitely more than capable, but whether you actually killed them, I cannot say for sure. After a moment of silence, Yuan said, I don't know. You don't know? Or you don't want to answer? The former. Yuan said. And without elaborating any further, Yuan finished off the demon. After killing all of the demons, Yuan collected the demon cores and deactivated the demon sealing zone. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Good work, young master. Those demons trembled before your presence. Feng Yuxiang said to him afterward. Thank you, but if I have to be honest, I'm a little disappointed by the results. It didn't feel good killing beings that have no will to fight, even if they are demons. He sighed. He then turned to look at Lan Yingying and said, Here, take these. Demon cores? Why are you giving them to me? She asked with a puzzled face. I want you to use them to further strengthen yourself, he said. Thank you, but I think you need them more than I do. If you consume these demon cores, you'll definitely become a spirit king. Lan Yingying said. That might be true, but I want to become a spirit king through the demon sealing pagoda. And there is less than a month before I can challenge it again. You know, increasing my companion's prowess is just as important as raising my own. Then I won't be humble. Lan Yingying nodded and accepted the demon cores. Thank you, Yuan. Anyways, with the demons gone, let's scout this place to make sure we don't leave anything useful behind. Who knows, we might find another treasure or two in here. Yuan said a moment later. And he continued, I don't sense any other presence beside ours in this place, so it should be safe to split up to make the search quicker. Feng Yuxiang nodded and said, I will take the north area. Then I will look around the south side. Lan Yingying said, I will go west. Whenever you finish with your area, go to the east side and we'll group up there. Yuan said, I understand. Sometime later, they split up and descended into the ruined city. This place looks pretty beat up. Yuan thought to himself as he walked through the street with his divine sense activated, as that was more efficient and convenient than searching house by house. However, even after many minutes of searching, Yuan was unable to find anything that was remotely useful. After going through his area twice without finding anything, he started making his way towards the east side of the city. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 854. Published at 17th of April, 2022, 1:13 and 4 seconds p.m. Chapter 854. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 854. Blood-soaked mountain. Lan Yingying and Feng Yuxiang also went to the east side of the city after searching their area with no results. Did you guys find anything special? My side was empty. Yuan asked them. Nothing, but I'm not surprised. This place hasn't been visited by anyone beside the demons for millions of years. I'd be shocked if anything but spiritual treasures lasted that long. Then let's take a quick look at this last area before we leave this place. Yuan said, and they began walking through the east side of the city. After walking for about 10 minutes, Feng Yuxiang suddenly stopped and frowned. What's the matter, Feng Feng? Did you find something? Yuan asked her. Not something. Someone. Although faint, I can sense a presence up ahead. Someone? Who could it be? I don't smell any demons. Yuan said. I think it's a human cultivator. Yuan frowned and said, let's go. Feng Yuxiang nodded and picked up her pace, leading the others to this unknown presence. Once they were close enough to see the person behind this presence with their divine sense, they stopped to analyze the situation. A human cultivator. He doesn't seem to be conscious. But what's he doing down here? Feng Yuxiang said. Do you think this person could be that woman's missing son? Maybe the demons captured him and brought him here. Yuan speculated. That's possible, but we won't know for sure until we speak with him. Please wait here while I make sure it isn't a trap, young master. Feng Yuxiang said. Yuan nodded and allowed Feng Yuxiang to go first. Sometime later, Feng Yuxiang approached this man and nudged him with her feet, almost like she was seeing if he was a corpse. Hey, wake up. Ugh. My head hurts like hell. The man muttered in a low voice as he sat up and looked at his surroundings. Where am I? Who are you? The man asked Feng Yuxiang a moment later. You're currently underground, beneath the Demon's Valley. How did you get here? And who are you? Demon's Valley? The man looked puzzled for a moment before snapping out of his daze and jumping to his feet. That's right. I remember now. I came to the Demon's Valley with my friends, but just as we were leaving, this group of demons appeared out of the blue and captured us. They ate my friends and even forced me to watch. What happened to the demons? The man began panicking after recalling his memories. I see. So you're really that woman's missing son. Anyways, we have already dealt with the demons. You don't need to worry about it anymore. You dealt with the demons? The man stared at her with a dazed face. Not me. My young master. Feng Yuxiang said. Follow me. Sometime later, Feng Yuxiang returned to Yuan with the man. Young master, this person really turned out to be that woman's missing son. According to him, he was captured by the demons. Feng Yuxiang explained the situation to Yuan. Wait, you know my mother? Yuan nodded and said, yes, we met her on the way here. She was worried sick that you didn't return home in time, and stood in front of the Demon's Valley. We agreed to help her find you after hearing her story. I see. Thank you very much for coming here, and saving my life. I would have been food for those demons if you'd arrived any later. I don't even want to imagine my mother grieving over my death. The man sighed. I wish I can repay this debt, but I have nothing on me. Don't worry about it. We didn't do this for any reward. Yuan shook his head. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Still, I can't just leave without giving you anything. The man pondered for a moment before speaking. Oh, I know. Although I cannot give you anything of value, I can lead you to something of value. You see, after being captured by the demons, I overheard them talking about a treasure that had recently appeared inside the blood-soaked mountain. I don't know what kind of treasure it is, but they seemed very excited about it. A treasure within blood-soaked mountain, huh? Yuan mumbled in a pondering voice. Where is this blood-soaked mountain? Feng Yuxiang asked. I'm not really sure, but it's within the Demon's Valley. The man said. I know where it is. Yuan suddenly said. It's a little far from here, but it's not too bad if we fly straight there. If you don't mind, I would like to return to my mother now. The man asked them a moment later. Yuan nodded. Go ahead. The exit is over there. Once again, thank you for saving my life and sparing my mother from grief. The man bowed to them before leaving. Are you sure about this, young master? There are still many unanswered questions about his situation and his mother. Feng Yuxiang asked him after the man left. It's fine. I doubt we really need to know these answers anyway. If you say so. Ding. Are we going to the blood-soaked mountain now? Feng Yuxiang asked as they left the underground area. Yes, I am really interested in this treasure. If we fly straight there, it should only take us half a day to get there. I understand. After leaving the underground area, Yuan and Feng Yuxiang began flying towards the blood-soaked mountain while Lan Yingying transformed back into a bracelet to rest. Truly an impressive lad. I didn't expect him to deal with the demons so quickly and effortlessly. And his growth. It's almost terrifying. Who could have predicted that we would find a monster like him in that small place? The man that had been captured by the demons watched Yuan and Feng Yuxiang disappear into the horizon with a profound smile on his face. Once he could no longer see their figure, the man's appearance began distorting, transforming into a handsome middle-aged man. If it's him, perhaps he can defeat that man. The man created a portal and disappeared into it shortly after. Chapter 855. Published at 17th of April, 2022, 1:13 and 55 seconds p.m. Chapter 855. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 855. Golden Celestial Tree. After flying for half a day, Yuan could finally see the blood-soaked mountain in the distance. Although it looks like a regular mountain right now, it used to be soaked in blood from the top to bottom. However, if one looked closely, there were still some red colors left on this mountain. So this is blood-soaked mountain. I guess we should split up and look for the treasure, Feng Yuxiang suggested after they arrived. Wait. Yuan stopped her. He closed his eyes and took a couple of deep breaths. Okay, I don't smell any demons around here. Let's go look for the treasure, Yuan said a moment later. Lan Yingying also appeared to help search for the treasure. Feng Yuxiang and Lan Yingying searched the area surrounding the mountain while Yuan searched the mountain itself. The peak of the mountain was flat, almost like the Dragon Spiral Mountain, so Yuan went there first. This place still reeks of blood even after millions of years. Yuan sighed as he searched the top of the mountain that was also riddled with skeletons. Sometime later, Lan Yingying's voice resounded in Yuan's head. Yuan, I think I found something. I am currently inside the mountain. There is an entrance at the south. Okay, I am coming. Yuan immediately began making his way back down the mountain. At the south end of the mountain, there was a concealed cave that had been kept hidden by these red vines that covered the bottom of the mountain. I'm surprised that you found this cave, Yuan said to Lan Yingying after arriving and seeing the situation. It actually looked even more concealed before. I had to remove some vines just to get inside, she said. What did you find inside? Feng Yuxiang asked. Well, I think it would be better if you see it for yourselves. Let's go, Yuan said as he entered the cave. After following a narrow path, they entered this spacious area inside the mountain. At the end of this room was a beautiful tree with red leaves growing on a golden trunk, and this tree was growing in the middle of a small pond with glistening golden water. Wow. Is this the treasure that the demons mentioned? What do you think, Feng? Yuan asked Feng Yuxiang, who was the expert when it comes to treasures. However, Feng Yuxiang didn't respond. Yuan turned to look at her to see a dumbfounded expression on her face. Feng. He called her again. Feng Yuxiang snapped out of her daze and looked at Yuan. Sorry, young master. I was dozing off just now. Judging by the look you had, you know what kind of treasure this is? He asked. Feng Yuxiang nodded with a serious face. Young master, this treasure is called the Golden Celestial Tree. It's an incredibly rare treasure that requires thousands of years to grow. And judging by the size of this tree, it's millions of years old. This kind of treasure is hard to come by even in the upper heavens. Oh, what does it do? All sorts of things. The crimson leaves can be used in alchemy. The golden trunk can be used to create treasures, and the golden liquid can be used to temper one's body. Tempering my body? That's perfect, Yuan said. Seeing that Yuan was prepared to jump into the water, she quickly said, Wait a moment, young master. If you temper your body, your cultivation will, without a doubt, surpass Spirit King and perhaps even Spirit Emperor. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Oh, if I do that, then I will be forced to ascend, huh? So what do you suggest? Can we store the liquid somewhere? Feng Yuxiang nodded. Yes, I have the perfect treasure for it. She retrieved a large, transparent gourd a moment later and said, We can store the liquid in this gourd. It will keep the liquid clean and pure. Please. Yuan nodded. Feng Yuxiang proceeded to collect the water with the gourd, which didn't take too long. Once that was done, she handed him the gourd and said, The leaves and trunk will have to be collected separately. However, the leaves will quickly lose spiritual energy if we don't store them properly. She took out a couple of wooden boxes and said, "We'll store the leaves in these boxes meant for pills. It will prevent the leaves from going bad or losing spiritual energy for 1,000 years. As for the trunk, it can be stored in any spatial ring." Yuan nodded. "Let's store the leaves first." They quickly began removing the crimson leaves from the tree. After storing the crimson leaves, Yuan yanked the golden trunk from the ground and stored it inside the dragon spatial ring. "I still can't believe that we'd found a golden celestial tree in this place." Feng Yuxiang sighed afterward. "How much do you think we'll be able to receive from this treasure if we were to sell it?" Yuan suddenly asked. "Why you want to sell the golden celestial tree?" Feng Yuxiang looked at him with wide eyes. "No, I'm just curious." Feng Yuxiang then said, "Well, just the leaves alone are worth a few 100 million spirit stones." "A few 100 million spirit stones?" Yuan exclaimed. Feng Yuxiang nodded and said, "And that's the least expensive part from the golden celestial tree. The trunk can be sold for a few billion spirit stones, while a small bottle of the liquid is worth as much as all of the leaves combined." Yuan swallowed nervously after realizing the value of the golden celestial tree. Who would have thought that they would come across such a fortuitous encounter in the Demon's Valley? "I'm really glad we decided to visit Demon's Valley." Yuan chuckled. Sometime later, they left the cave after making sure there were no more hidden treasures. Now how are we going to find Jiachong? The Demon's Valley is not a small place. It'll take weeks to cover the place, but we only have a couple of days left before we must meet up with Xiaohua and Minli. Yuan asked them for suggestions. Chapter 856. Published at 17th of April, 2022, 1:14 and 37 seconds p.m. Chapter 856. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 856. Jiachong, honestly, I don't think there is anything we can do besides hope for the best. Feng Yuxiang shrugged. It's not like we have to find him. I came here mostly because I was curious about the Demon's Valley. If we don't find him in the next few days, we can just leave. Yuan said. Okay. We should split up to make things faster. Feng Yuxiang suggested. Are you sure? Yuan asked, as he was worried that something might happen to them. Young master will be fine. There are only magical beasts roaming in this place, and there are rarely any that fly. If we encounter a demon, we'll notify you immediately. If you say so. Yuan nodded. Thus, Yuan and the others began wandering the Demon's Valley randomly in search of Jiachong. 2 days later, right as Yuan prepared to log off for breakfast, Feng Yuxiang's voice resounded inside his head. Young master, I found him. That's great. Where are you? If you continue flying north for about 200 miles, you will reach us, she said. I understand. I will be there as soon as possible. Yuan logged off the game and notified Chu Liuxiang that he will be missing breakfast today, before returning to the game, and making his way towards Feng Yuxiang. A few hours later, Yuan met up with Feng Yuxiang and Lan Yingying, who had arrived shortly before him. Where's Jiachong? Yuan asked them. Feng Yuxiang pointed at a certain location on the ground. Yuan followed her direction until he could see an old man wearing rags about a mile away. Is it just me or is there something off about him? Yuan raised his eyebrows after seeing the dazed expression on the old man's face. He's giving me the same feeling as the residents at the nameless town. Feng Yuxiang said. So he's gone crazy as well? Yuan frowned slightly. Most likely. He probably spent a little too long in the Demon's Valley and got affected by the miasma. Now he's just aimlessly wandering this place. Is there anything we can do to help him? Yuan asked. Well, we can try cleansing the miasma from his body, but I won't be able to do it since my flames can only protect people from being affected by the miasma. Feng Yuxiang turned to look at Lan Yingying and continued, but perhaps Yingying can do it with her divine attribute sacred fire. Do you think you can do it? Yuan asked her. I can try. All right, let's go down there and see if he's really lost his mind first. They descended a moment later and approached Jiachong from behind. Excuse me, are you okay? Yuan asked him. Jiachong stopped moving and turned around to look at Yuan, still with a dazed look on his face. Oh, this This must be fate. The old man suddenly snapped out of his daze and began staring at Yuan with a profound expression on his face. Ha! Fate. Yuan raised his eyebrows. Yes. I can sense it. Your fate is extremely strong. So strong that even I cannot fathom it. You have the strongest fate out of all my encounters. My name is Jiacheng, a servant of fate. Tell me, what do you desire? Yuan looked at Feng Yuxiang and said, he looks perfectly fine. I don't know. It's almost as though the miasma stopped affecting him after seeing you. Feng Yuxiang mumbled in a dumbfounded voice. Anyways, I am looking for someone that can help me remove destiny seals. Yuan said to Jiacheng, acting like he didn't know what Jiacheng was capable of to make it seem like their encounter was purely by chance. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Destiny seal, huh? Our encounter must definitely be due to fate. Jiacheng nodded to himself. On top of being a servant of fate, I happen to be an array master as well. I can help you remove the destiny seals if you want. Really? You'll do that for me? How much do you need? I will pay for your services. No need. I cannot possibly accept money from someone with such a powerful fate. Is that so? Then I won't be humble. Thank you, Senior Jia. Yuan immediately began dumping out all of the Gu family's treasures. He wasn't worried that Jiacheng might steal his treasures since Jiacheng is only a first-level spirit king, and there were 3 of them. There's more treasures than I'd expected. Jiacheng smiled after seeing the small mountain of treasures before him. I won't complain even if you ask for a payment, Yuan said. No, it's fine. Jiacheng didn't say anything else and took a seat before the treasures. He then began creating array symbols at a fast pace. Yuan watched Jiacheng work with intensive focus, making sure to memorize all of the symbols that he'd used and the order he combined them. It took about 2 minutes for Jiacheng to remove a destiny seal, and after an hour of non-stop work, he'd managed to clean all of the treasures of their destiny seal. I am finished, Jiacheng said as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. Thank you very much, Senior Jia. Yuan bowed to him afterward. No need. It was a pleasure to assist you, young man. You can call me Yuan. Jiacheng nodded. Then Yuan, I have one last thing for you. He retrieved a scroll and offered it to Yuan. What is this? Yuan raised his eyebrow. This is the array combination for removing destiny seals. If you learn it, you will be able to remove destiny seals yourself. Are you sure? This is very valuable, right? Jiacheng nodded and said, You have already paid the price. How? I have traversed this world in search of someone like you, and after 2,000 years, I have finally found you. You have no idea what this encounter means to me, Yuan. Jiacheng said with a smile. Chapter 857. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:29 and 22 seconds p.m. Chapter 857. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 857. Medallion of Fate, searching for someone like me? Why? Yuan asked. Jiacheng didn't immediately respond, and instead retrieved a medallion with the word destiny on it. He then extended his hand and offered it to Yuan. What's this? Yuan accepted the medallion without thinking. This is the medallion of fate. If you return it to its owners, you will be given a chance to start a new life, or so I am told. Ever since I acquired this medallion, I have invested my life into returning it to the rightful owner, but it appears that my fate isn't powerful enough. However, I'm sure you'll be able to find its owners. Or so you're told. So you don't really know the real purpose of this medallion? Feng Yuxiang asked with raised eyebrows, as she cannot imagine investing her entire life chasing after some rumors. I may have no concrete proof, but I believe it truly is the purpose of this medallion. After all, I started being able to see other people's fate after acquiring this medallion. Jiacheng said. So you can see our fate, our future? Yuan asked with interest. No, my abilities are not strong enough to see your future, but I can tell if someone has a strong fate or not. Jiacheng shook his head. Feng Yuxiang wanted to say that it was a load of bullshit, but since Jiacheng helped Yuan with the destiny seals, she didn't want to be rude to him. Yuan thought to himself. Sounds like the divine crystal of heavenly fortune. It can tell what kind of fate we have, too. Anyways, it is about time I leave and return to my journey. I have lingered around this place for a little too long. Jiacheng suddenly said. Yuan quickly said, once again, thank you for your help and for this array combination. Jiacheng silently nodded with a smile on his face before flying away. Yuan looked at the medallion of fate with a profound expression on his face. Do you really believe that crazy old man? All this nonsense about fate, I don't believe it. Feng Yuxiang said after Jiacheng left. I don't know, but I feel some sort of connection with this medallion, like I have seen it before. Yuan said. Really? Where? He shook his head. I don't know. Anyways, let's meet up with everyone before we reunite with Xiaohua and Minli. He said after storing the medallion of fate into his spatial ring. Thus, Yuan began making his way back to the hotel to pick up Meishio and the others. That night at dinner, Yuan said to the others, I just finished my business, so I am heading back to the city. Are you guys prepared for the disciple examination? Yes. I just finished my preparations as well. Those spirit stones you gave us really came in handy. Wang Ming nodded. Right? It's actually worth much more than I'd expected. I still have a few thousand left even after going on a shopping spree. Wang Bingbing said. Once again, thank you for the spirit stones. Shirlang said. I should arrive at the city by tomorrow night, but if you're already heading to the gathering site, you don't need to wait for us. Yuan said to them. All right. After dinner, Yuan returned to the game, so he could continue returning to the city. Once he returned to the city the following day, Yuan met up with Meishio and the others. Is this everybody? Yuan asked Wang Ming, as there were only 5 people there, including Meishio and Chu Liuxiang. Yes, the others are either already at the gathering site or making their way there. Wang Ming nodded. Fortunately, the gathering site isn't too far away. We can get there in about 2 hours if we use the teleport devices, and the disciple examination won't start until tomorrow morning. Wang Bingbing said. Yuan nodded and said, then let's get some rest tonight, and make our way to the gathering site early tomorrow. It wouldn't be a good idea to stay up for the night right before such a big event. You'll need all the energy you can get. Alright. Let's meet up at sunrise tomorrow. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Since it's been a while since he's gotten any proper rest, Yuan also decided to get some sleep. The following morning, Yuan and the others began making their way to the gathering site. Hey Yuan, do you know anything about the examination? Like what we'll be doing? Shirlang asked him as they moved. No, I don't. He shook his head. I heard that you used to be a disciple at the Dragon Essence Temple. What was the disciple examination like over there? Wang Ming asked. Yuan proceeded to recall his experience at the Dragon Essence Temple to the others. I see. So we should expect something similar, huh? Every sect is different. Yuan said. What should we do if we fail the examination? Shirlang suddenly asked. I'm sure you'll all pass with your talents. Yuan smiled. But it's not guaranteed, right? If you're already thinking about failing before even starting, then you're fated to fail. Wang Bingbing shrugged. My sister's right, Shirlang. Don't be so negative. What? I was just curious. I am not thinking about failing, he quickly said. Yeah. 2.5 hours later, Yuan and his group arrived at the gathering site for the 7 Spirit Academies, which was taking place in a massive square that was built specifically for the examination. Holy shit, there's got to be at least 100,000 people here right now. Wang Ming exclaimed when he saw the sea of people there. Is it always this crowded? Won't it take forever to finish the examination at this rate? Shirlang sighed. While the others were surprised by the spectacle there, Yuan looked for Xiaohua. Once he sensed her presence, he called for her through their spiritual connection. Xiaohua, can you hear me? Brother Yuan. Xiaohua immediately responded with excitement. We're right outside the square. We'll wait for you here. Okay. Chapter 858. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:29 and 23 seconds p.m. Chapter 858. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 858. 7 Spirit Academy's Disciple Examination. Yuan? What are you waiting for? Wang Ming asked after noticing that he was just standing there. I'm waiting for a friend of mine, he said. 5 minutes after Yuan contacted Xiaohua, 2 figures could be seen soaring through the sky above the square for the disciple examination. Oh, there she is. Yuan looked up and watched as Xiaohua descended right beside him with Minli, who looked a little shocked. Brother Yuan. Xiaohua immediately went to hug him even before her feet touched the ground. Once again, sorry for leaving you behind, Xiaohua. Yuan said with a bittersweet smile. Who's that? Wang Ming asked with raised eyebrows. This is Xiaohua. She's the first friend I made in this world. Yuan introduced her to the others. Oh, how cute. Wang Bingbing stared at Xiaohua with glitters in her eyes. Anyways, where are the others? The examination should be starting soon. Yuan asked them. Who knows? There's too many people here to tell. Shirlang shrugged. We'll probably see them during the examination. Wang Ming said. Sometime later, Yuan approached Minli and asked her, how are you feeling? I'm a little nervous if I have to be honest, she sighed. Really? I can tell that your cultivation has improved. You'll do fine. Thank you, but I cannot help it. It's been a very long time since I felt such emotions. And this is the 7 Spirit Academies that we're talking about. I've heard of their reputation even when I was still in the lower heavens. The acceptance rate is also incredibly low. There will probably be less than 10,000 people who will pass the examination despite the amount of people here today. Even then, I still have faith in you. Yuan smiled. Minli began blushing. Sometime later, everybody at the square stopped talking when 7 figures descended from the sky and landed on a platform above the square. And all of them emitted the aura of a spirit lord. Welcome to the 7 Spirit Academy's Disciple Examination, young cultivators. I am Elder Lang of the Heavenly Academy. Before we begin, allow me to introduce our judges for the examination. Elder Mon from the Universal Music Academy, Elder Jing from the Healing Spirit Academy, Elder Yi from the Lonely River Academy. After introducing the other 6 elders that hailed from one of the 7 Spirit Academies, Elder Lang continued. As you already know, the 7 Spirit Academies have decided to start our disciple examination early due to circumstances. However, this does not mean it will be any easier to join us. After giving a quick speech about the disciple examination and the history of the 7 Spirit Academies, Elder Lang sat down while another elder stood up. I will now speak of the rules for the examination. The elder said, visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. First and foremost, there are 4 sections in the examination you must pass before you qualify to join us. Once you pass all 4 sections, we, representing the 7 Spirit Academies, will offer you a spot in our sect. Some of you may receive more than one offer while some of you may only receive one offer. If you have been offered to join more than one sect, you are allowed to choose which sect you wish to join. If your desired sect did not offer you a spot, do not panic, as it's not impossible to change sects later. As long as you join one of our sects, it is possible to transfer to another sect at a later date. Hell, you can even negotiate with us at the end of the examination if you so choose. Now let's talk about the rules for our examination. First rule, you are not allowed to deliberately kill other participants. If caught, you will automatically fail the examination and be banned from ever joining us for the rest of your life. However, this does not mean you cannot hinder others' progression or fight them. The cultivation path is filled with bumpy roads and uncertainty. You cannot expect it to be a walk in the park. Second rule, you are allowed to use any treasure you want as long as it doesn't disturb the examination or cause massive destruction to the area. Third rule, you are strictly prohibited from consuming any sort of pills that will enhance your body or spiritual energy. This includes recovery pills. The 7 Spirit Academies are looking for raw talents, people with real potential. Sure, one might argue that allowing the usage of powerful treasure is the opposite of such a statement, but it still requires some skill to control such a treasure, whereas consuming a pill that enhances your strength temporarily doesn't require any skill. Final rule. You should already know this, but if you are above the age of 40, you are not qualified to participate in the examination. However, if you still wish to join us, you may visit us at another time for an interview. The elder took a seat after announcing the last rule, and another elder stood up. Let's move on to the examination itself now. As you all heard, the examination will have 4 different sections. For the first part of the examination, you will have your talents evaluated. Your spiritual energy, your spiritual veins, your aptitude, everything. Allow me to be completely honest here. Less than 20% of you will pass the first examination. The nervous atmosphere amongst the participants became even heavier after hearing such words. For the second examination, we will analyze the extent of your talents. For the third examination, you will be given limited time to hunt magical beasts. And for the final examination, if you somehow make it this far, you will be interviewed by the 7 of us. Now you will be given 15 minutes to prepare yourselves before we open the portals to the real examination area. The moment the elder sat back down, the participants began mumbling to each other about the examination. Chapter 859. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:29 and 23 seconds p.m. Chapter 859. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 859. 7 Spirit Academy's Disciple Examination 2. See, I told you that the examination will be quite similar to the one you took for the Dragon Essence Temple. Wang Ming said to Yuan during their 15-minute break. I guess so. He nodded. I think we can expect the same examinations for most sects in. After all, one's talent and prowess are the most important to cultivators, so it's only natural for them to evaluate us in those aspects. Lang said. Anyways, good luck, guys. Yuan said to them sometime later. 15 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. The 7 Spirit Academy's disciple examination will officially begin now. Elder Lang stood up and waved his sleeves. The very next moment, multiple experts appeared and activated their treasures, creating a portal at the front of the square. This will lead you to the first examination, where you will be evaluated. There are 20 teleportations, each taking you to a separate area to make things faster. Go. The participants there immediately began walking into the portals, disappearing from the square. Meanwhile, 20 large projections appeared above the square, each displaying a separate area for the first examination. The square quickly became empty, and within mere minutes, only Yuan, Xiaohua, Meishio, and Chu Liuxiang remained. When Elder Lang saw this, he said, "What are you guys doing? If you don't hurry up, the portals will close, and you will automatically fail the examination." "Oh, sorry, we're not here to participate. We're here to cheer on our friends," Yuan said. "If you want to spectate, you're in the wrong place. There's another area for spectators." Elder Lang responded, "Is that so? If you don't mind, can you tell me where this place is?" Yuan asked. Elder Lang pointed towards the north and said, "It's quite far from here, so even if you run there now, you won't make it before the examination ends." "It's fine. Thank you for telling us," Yuan said. He then looked at Meishio and the others. "Let's go, shall we? I'll carry you with my spiritual energy." "Okay." They nodded. The 7 elders then watched with gawking expressions as Yuan lifted Meishio and Chu Liuxiang into the air before flying away with them. Once they were no longer in view, Elder Lang mumbled in a dazed voice, "That young man was a spirit grandmaster? How come I couldn't sense his cultivation base?" Since these elders were all below the 3rd level spirit lord, they were unable to sense Yuan's cultivation base even though he wasn't deliberately hiding it. While Yuan and his group made their way to the spectators' area, Wang Ming and the others waited for their turn inside this massive room that had multiple objects placed around the room. Of course, these objects were used to evaluate the participants' talents. After waiting for 2 hours, it was finally Wang Ming's turn. "Place your hand on this crystal ball, and pour as much spiritual energy as you can into it," the examiner said to him. Wang Ming nodded and placed his hands on the empty crystal ball. "HM?" There's something resisting my spiritual energy. Is this part of the exam? Wang Ming wondered to himself as he poured his spiritual energy into the crystal ball, quickly filling it with glittering smoke that resembled fog. Although there was something resisting him, it only held him back slightly, and the more the crystal ball filled up with fog, the stronger the resistance became until he could no longer continue. Amazing! The examiner mumbled in a dazed voice, and his eyes were glued to the crystal ball. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. After snapping out of his daze a few moments later, the examiner said, "Why, you can stop now." "How did I do?" Wang Ming asked. "You passed. Here's your token. Make sure you don't lose it." The examiner handed him a red token. This token is a little different than what the others before me got. Why is that?" Wang Ming noticed this and decided to ask the examiner, because there are 3 different tokens that can be handed out depending on the participant's result. Those that barely pass will receive a white token, and those that pass with average results will receive a green token. As for the red token, those are only given to participants with excellent results such as yourself. In other words, they are given to geniuses and those with the highest potential. The examiner explained. "I see. Thanks, I guess. Please go through that portal at the end of the room. You'll be taken directly to the next examination. Once there, show the examiner your token." "I understand." Wang Ming nodded before leaving the place through the portal. What a talented young lad. He'll definitely become a powerful cultivator in the future if nurtured properly. The examiner thought to himself as the next participant stepped in front of the crystal ball. "Place your hand on this crystal ball and pour as much spiritual energy as you can into it." The examiner repeated his sentence to Wang Bingbing, who was right behind Wang Ming. She nodded and placed her hand onto the crystal ball, pouring her spiritual energy into it. Wow! Another genius. She's almost on par with the last participant. 2 geniuses back to back? What are the chances? The examiner cried inwardly. "Here you go. You passed." The examiner handed Wang Bingbing a red token as well. "What's this? Why is it red?" Wang Bingbing asked out of curiosity. The examiner smiled and explained everything to her. "I see. Thanks," Wang Bingbing said before making her way to the next examination. Next, once Wang Bingbing left, Lang took her place. "Place your hand on this crystal ball and pour as much spiritual energy as you can into it." The examiner repeated. Lang nodded and placed his hand onto the crystal ball. When the examiner saw the results, he didn't dare to believe his eyes. Another genius. What the fuck? Where are all these geniuses coming from? He exclaimed inwardly. Chapter 860. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:29 and 23 seconds p.m. Chapter 860. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 860. 7 Spirit Academy's Disciple Examination 3. Here's your token. It's red because you've achieved excellent results. The examiner handed Lang his token and explained the purpose of it without being asked. "I see. Thank you." Lang accepted the token and began making his way towards the portal. After exiting the portal, Lang found himself standing in front of a massive lake. However, there was something special about this lake. The water is silver? What kind of lake is this? Lang wondered to himself as he approached Wang Bingbing. "I see that you also received a red token," Wang Ming said with a smile when he noticed Lang's presence behind them. "Yes. By the way, what is happening here?" "I'm not too sure, but it appears to be some kind of exercise where you have to walk on the water." "Walking on water? Sounds like the same examination Yuan took at the Dragon Essence Temple, when he had to approach a silver tree." "Looks like it." After waiting for another 2 hours, it was finally Wang Ming's turn. "You will need at least 40 steps to pass this part of the examination," the examiner said to him. Wang Ming nodded and took a deep breath before taking his first step into the silver lake. "Feels like I am walking on something that's liquid yet solid at the same time," Wang Ming thought to himself as he took his second and third step. Half a minute later, he was already at the 30th step. Is this supposed to be hard? Wang Ming wondered as he approached the 50th step. On the 61st step, he finally began feeling some resistance, and it would become increasingly harder to move his leg with every step. By the 70th step, he was sweating profusely. Heavens, he's already taken 75 steps. We have a genius here. The other participants watched Wang Ming approach his 80th step with admiration in their eyes. I cannot go on. Wang Ming gave up after taking his 82nd step and collapsed on the water. One of the examiners there went to pick up Wang Ming before bringing him back to land. Congratulations, young man. You currently hold the top score for this examination. The examiner handed Wang Ming another red token before sending him to the next examination. Wang Bingbing was next. 2 minutes later. Wow! 78 steps. That's 2 high scores in a row. The other participants exclaimed. Does anybody know her name? She's such a fairy. No, I don't recognize her. Hey, do you think she's an NPC or a player? Who knows? She kinda gives me a feeling from both sides. Huh. What's that supposed to mean? It's hard to explain, but she gives me the feeling of an NPC, but also the feeling of a player as well. How's that possible? Don't ask me. It's just a feeling. After Wang Bingbing received her red token, Shi Lang stepped onto the Silver Lake and began his test. 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps, 50 steps, 60 steps, 70 steps, 79 steps, 80 steps, 81 steps, 82 steps. He's rivaled the top score. The participants were ecstatic with the results, even though they were not the one achieving such a result. Damn it. I cannot even lift my legs. Move, damn it. Move. Shi Lang shouted inwardly as he pushed himself to make that 83rd step. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. However, no matter how hard he tried, he was not able to make the step. After collapsing on the lake, one of the elders there carried him back to the land. Congratulations. Here's a red token for your excellent results. The examiner handed a red token to Shi Lang afterward. Thanks. Shi Lang accepted the token in a dispirited manner. Noticing this, the examiner asked him out of curiosity. What's with the long face? You achieved 82 steps, which is the highest score in this examination thus far. You mean one of the highest? I wanted to beat him, but alas. Shi Lang sighed. Him. Are you acquainted with the other participant who scored 82? Something like that, I guess. Anyways, I am going to head to the next examination. The examiner nodded and said, by the way, this examination and the next examination is treated as one examination, so you still have 2 more to go after the next one. Is that so? Good to know. Meanwhile, after flying for 4 hours straight, Yuan and his group finally arrived at the spectators' area, which took place in a massive coliseum. In the middle of the coliseum was a treasure that projected the disciples' examination in real time, allowing the millions of spectators to enjoy the disciple examination while being far away. Are you sure we should be watching them from up here? Meishio asked Yuan as she sat on the Empyrean Overlord above the Colosseum with Chu Liuxiang beside her. Why not? It's not like we're bothering anyone by spectating up here. And there's too many people down there. He calmly responded. If you say so. Meishio looked down and swallowed nervously, as she could sense many gazes on them, which is only natural, as they were sticking out like a sore thumb in the sky. Oh, look at the screen on the far right. That's Wang Ming. Yuan pointed at one of the projections that was showing Wang Ming during the second examination. A silver lake, huh? It sure brings back memories of my disciple examination at the Dragon Essence Temple. I see Minli. She's at the bottom left corner. Meishio said. 89 steps, huh? That's the highest score so far. Oh, I see Shi Murong and Hong Xiuqiuan. 81 steps and 83 steps. Chu Liuxiang said. As expected of the 6 spiritual elites, all of their top geniuses are so close to each other in terms of potential and talent. Not including Li Jinsi. She's definitely on another level. Yuan mumbled to himself, feeling a little pity that he couldn't see Li Jinsi's evaluation. However, just as he had such thoughts, Meishio pointed at a certain projection and spoke in a puzzled voice. Hey, that girl on the far right. That's Li Jinxi, right? What? Really? You're right. That's definitely Li Jinxi. Chu Liuxiang confirmed. Huh? What's she doing at the examination? I thought she wasn't going to participate. Yuan muttered in a dazed voice. Chapter 861. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:29 and 23 seconds p.m. Chapter 861. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 861. Li Jinxi's evaluation. Li Jinxi, who had suddenly decided to participate in the examination for whatever reason, stepped onto the silver water once it was her turn to be evaluated. 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps. Li Jinxi walked the silver lake without any effort like Wang Ming and the others. Once she reached 60 steps, the spectators noticed her presence and began focusing more on her. 70 steps. 75 steps. 80 steps. The spectators and the examiner expected for Li Jinxi to stop soon, but to their absolute shock, she continued walking without any problems, almost as though she was not being restricted by the silver lake. 81 steps, 82 steps, 83 steps. Li Jinxi quickly passed Hong Xiuquan, who had the highest score amongst the others within their group. 87 steps, 88 steps, 89 steps, 90 steps. Li Jinxi surpassed Min Li's record shortly after, and became the new highest scorer. However, Li Jinxi's brilliance did not stop there, and she continued to walk the silver water at the same calm and steady pace that she has been since the beginning. 95 steps. 97 steps. 100 steps. Li Jinxi eventually achieved 100 steps, shocking all spectators that had their eyes fixated on her. Heavens! Who is that girl? At this rate, she'll even surpass Senior Nie's record of 107 steps. The 7 elders were baffled by Li Jinxi's immense talents and mysterious background, and in their mind, they began pondering what they could offer Li Jinxi to entice her to join their sect. While the 7 elders pondered, Li Jinxi continued to increase her steps. 105 steps, 106 steps, 107 steps. Li Jinxi has matched Senior Nie's record, becoming the first person in the last 5,000 years to achieve such a feat. This genius. The Heavenly Academy must have her. Elder Lang thought to himself as he stared at Li Jinxi's beautiful yet tranquil face. The other 6 elders were thinking the same, and despite none of them saying it out loud, they were all fully aware of the others' thoughts. However, unbeknownst to these elders and the spectators, this was just the beginning of Li Jinxi's dominance. 110 steps, 120 steps, 130 steps. Li Jinxi's pure dominance for this examination was so shocking that it left all of her spectators completely silenced, and they could only quietly watch her walk the silver lake like a goddess. Once Li Jinxi reached 150 steps, she finally stopped moving. When the spectators saw this, they sighed in relief. If Li Jinxi were to continue any further, they might lose consciousness, as they had forgotten how to breathe while watching her. After stopping, Li Jinxi turned to look at the examiner and spoke out loud. When do I stop? Excuse me? The examiner didn't comprehend her question at first. When do I stop? Or should I continue until I cannot? Li Jinxi clarified, dumbfounding the examiner and the spectators alike. The examiner nodded his head in a dazed voice and responded in a shaky voice. Why yes. You continue walking until you cannot move anymore. Okay. And without saying another word, Li Jinxi continued walking. 155 steps, 160 steps, 165 steps. Li Jinxi. She's really built differently. Chu Liuxiang chuckled. Yuan smiled and said, I don't want to look down on the 6 spiritual families, but Li Jinxi was born in the wrong world. If she had been born here instead, if Li Jinxi had been born in the real cultivation world, where there are plenty of resources to assist her growth, she would definitely flourish and be much more formidable than currently. How is this possible? She's already at 200 steps. I have never seen anything like this before. Elder Lang exclaimed in a shocked voice. I really want to know where this genius, no, this monster came from. One of the elders there suddenly retrieved a communication. When the others noticed this, they immediately realized the reason, and also took out their own communication jade slip. Sect Master, this is urgent. Hurry and look at. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. I know. I am already well aware of the young lady at the examination. We must secure this genius for our sect at all cost. In fact, I am heading to the examination site even as we speak. Leave everything to me. I understand. Good luck, Sect Master. The other elders had similar conversations with their sect masters. I assume that you all just spoke with your sect masters. Elder Lang spoke out loud after everyone finished their conversations. They all nodded silently. Then I will also assume that they all decided to personally recruit her. Once again, the elders silently nodded. I see. For all 7 sect masters to be involved in a disciple examination, this is truly an unprecedented event. However, it is definitely a justified one. Hey, you guys want to make a bet? Elder E suddenly said. And he continued. A bet on which sect will acquire that genius. Sure, but I will obviously be cheering for my own sect. Me too. Same here. Then it's settled. Meanwhile, 250 steps. 260 steps. 270 steps. Li Jinsi was nearing 300 steps, and at the same time, she was approaching the other side of the lake that required 500 steps to reach. Do you think she will make it to the other side of the lake? Meishio asked out of curiosity. Probably. Yuan nodded. What makes you think so? The way she's walking. I cannot feel any resistance from it. As for the others, you can tell when they slow down. Now that you mention it, she doesn't even have a drop of sweat on her. Meishio mumbled. 350 steps. 375 steps. 400 steps. She's only 100 steps away from the end of the lake. I can't believe my eyes. Do you think she could be cheating with some treasure? That's possible. The spectators, especially the other participants there, began suspecting Li Jinsi to be cheating because of her performance that was too ridiculous to believe. Chapter 862. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:29 and 23 seconds p.m. Chapter 862. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 862. Li Jinsi's evaluation 2. That's it. She must be cheating. After all, 400 steps is simply too ridiculous. It's impossible. Examiner, that participant must be cheating. You need to do something about it. The participants in Li Jinsi's examination began complaining to the examiners there, some of them even urging the examiners to stop the examination. Of course, these examiners were also suspicious of Li Jinsi's performance, but none of them dared to call her a cheater outright. After all, what if Li Jinsi's performance turned out to be real, and that she was a monster who could walk 400 steps? They did not dare to risk offending such a genius even if it's the last thing they do. Whether she is genuine or not, we do not have the qualifications to make any decisions. The elders overseeing this examination will make those decisions. One of the examiners said to the participants there, "Wow, it's clear that she's cheating. I heard the highest score ever recorded was only 170 steps by the founder of the Heavenly Academy. Are you telling me that some unknown girl nobody recognizes can somehow double that number? This is utterly ridiculous." The examiner's eyebrow twitched upon hearing the participants' words. Indeed, the highest score ever recorded was 170 steps, and Li Jinsi just walked her 410th step. If one thought about it logically, there was no way such a situation could be possible. However, anything is possible in the cultivation world. I will not repeat myself. The elders will make the decisions. If you're not content with my answer, you may leave this examination. The participants no longer dared to talk back after hearing such words, and they returned to watching Li Jinsi in silence. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to the spectators and even the examiners there, 7 figures suddenly appeared above the area where Li Jinsi was being evaluated. These 7 figures were sect masters of the 7 spirit academies. and they have all decided to personally oversee Li Jinxi's examination because of her unnatural performance. Think she's cheating? One of them asked out loud. I don't sense any treasures on her. Me neither. I heard from the examiner that did her first evaluation that she managed to make the crystal ball explode by pouring too much spiritual energy into it. One of them suddenly said, just where did such a monster come from? She appears very young as well. Just so you all know, this girl will be joining my Universal Music Academy. Huh? Did you hit your head on your way here? Her talents will be wasted if we let her join your sect. She doesn't even play the instrument. And how do you know that? I can tell by her physique and demeanor. She's definitely the type to use a sword, so she should join my Formless Sword Academy. We can debate about this later. For now, let's just watch her. Sometime later, Li Jinxi made her 450th step. Li Jinxi's tranquil face slightly changed when she noticed some mysterious power restricting her movements, making it harder for her to move. Of course, it wasn't anything that could cripple her movements, and she could still move with relative ease. Looks like she's finally feeling it. Yuan said out loud while most people didn't notice anything different about Li Jinxi. Really? She still seems to be walking just fine. Tu Liuxiang said. It's not enough to really test her, but she is slowly approaching her limit. Of course, I still believe that she will make it out the lake. After taking her 460th step, the mysterious force intensified, making it much harder for her to move. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. When she tried to take her 476th step, Li Jinxi found it incredibly hard to even lift her leg, almost as though it was chained to an anchor that was already at the bottom of the lake. After taking a deep breath, Li Jinxi released her cultivation, and her eyes turned red. Furthermore, her body began emitting a bloodthirsty aura that would slowly become visible to the eyes, making it seem as though she was enveloped by a red aura. That appearance. Yuan, didn't she also look like that during her first fight with you? Meishio asked him. He nodded. Yes. However, she looks a bit different now compared to back then, like she has more control over it. After activating her family's secret technique, Li Jinxi started walking again in her original pace, perhaps a little faster even, almost as though the mysterious force restraining her had disappeared. What kind of technique is she using? She's releasing such a tyrannical aura. I don't know, but I can tell that her body is growing increasingly stronger with every passing second. It reminds me of the forbidden technique Berserker's Bloodlust, which enhances one's body, granting them unrivaled strength at the cost of their sanity and control over their body and mind, turning them into mindless beasts. However, she doesn't appear to have gone mad, so it's probably a different technique. Her technique perfectly fits my Indomitable Flesh Academy's teaching, and it even resembles our most powerful cultivation technique. She must join our academy. Bullshit. She'll join my Formless Sword Academy. No, she will join my Universal Music Academy. We may mainly focus on instruments and the Tao of music, but we also have plenty of experts that can teach other things. While the 7 sect masters argued with each other, Li Jinxi took her 500th and final step, leaving the Silver Lake and returning to land. As she really did it. She really crossed the lake. Pretty much every spectator had their wide eyes on Li Jinxi at this moment, all of them feeling as though they were witnessing the beginning of a new legend. After crossing the lake, Li Jinxi deactivated her technique and walked around the lake until she returned to the participants and the examiners. Why are you looking at me like that? Should I not have left the lake and just walked around until I cannot move anymore? Li Jinxi asked the examiner with a calm yet questioning face. The examiners there were speechless. Chapter 863. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:29 and 23 seconds p.m. Chapter 863. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 863. Final examination and no. You have done enough. Here's your token, the examiner said after snapping out of his daze. However, just as he was about to hand Li Jinxi her token, the examiner quickly took it back and said, And my mistake. I almost gave you the wrong one. The examiner took back the white token he was about to give Li Jinsi and handed her the red token instead. After accepting the token, Li Jinsi began making her way to the next examination. Should we introduce ourselves now, or should we wait? The sect masters asked each other. Let's wait until after the third examination. I want to see the full extent of her talents. I agree. She clearly has heaven-sent talent, but the next examination will test a different aspect of her talents. Meanwhile, in the third examination area that is still considered the second examination, Wang Ming and the others waited for their turn. In the middle of the room was a massive crystal suspended in midair that contained an immense amount of spiritual energy. Once it was Wang Ming's turn, he was told to sit before the crystal and try to absorb as much spiritual energy as he could from the crystal. Wang Ming closed his eyes and took a deep breath before he started absorbing the spiritual energy. The spiritual energy in the crystal quickly depleted, but once he absorbed around 65% of the spiritual energy, his progress slowed down tremendously. After absorbing about 70% of the crystal's spiritual energy, Wang Ming gave up, as he was unable to store any more spiritual energy in his body. The moment Wang Ming stopped absorbing the spiritual energy, the crystal immediately began filling back up with spiritual energy until it was completely full again. 73% in about 3 minutes, huh? Very good. Here's your token. The examiner handed Wang Ming his third red token. What kind of test is this? Wang Ming asked out of curiosity. It tests how fast you can absorb spiritual energy, which is basically your cultivation talent. The examiner said. What about the previous examination? The one where we had to walk on this lake? That tests your innate talent, your true potential, and it is undoubtedly the most important test in this whole examination. I see. Wang Bingbing sat in front of the crystal after Wang Ming left for the real third examination. A few minutes later, Wang Bingbing achieved 75%. Congratulations. Here is your token. The examiner handed Wang Bingbing a red token. Shi Lang went next, and he also achieved 73% in 3 minutes. Seriously? Why am I always achieving the same result as him? Shi Lang sighed as he went to the next examination. Meanwhile, Li Jinsi showed up in a separate room and waited for her turn at the crystal. Many minutes later, Li Jinsi sat before the crystal and began absorbing its spiritual energy. What the hell is this speed? The examiner was shocked when he noticed how fast Li Jinsi was emptying the crystal. And in less than a minute, Li Jinsi managed to absorb all of the spiritual energy from the crystal, leaving the examiner speechless. Only 7 people have managed to completely absorb all spiritual energy since the founding of the 7 Spirit Academies. This will make her the 8th person. Here is your token. The examiner handed a red token to Li Jinsi with trembling hands. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The next examination is where I get to hunt magical beasts, is that correct? Li Jinsi suddenly asked the examiner. Why yes, that's correct. In order to pass the third examination, you must hunt magical beasts. How powerful are the magical beasts? She continued to ask. Well, they are mostly as powerful as a peak spirit apprentice, but there are some as strong as peak spirit warriors, and there is even a magical beast with the power of a spirit master. Is there something wrong? The examiner asked Li Jinsi when he noticed the disappointed look on her face. The strongest magical beast is only as strong as a spirit master? She asked. Yes. He nodded. Li Jinsi sighed, and without explaining anything, she made her way to the next examination. Did I waste my time by coming here? She wondered inwardly as she entered the portal to the next examination. Upon exiting the portal, Li Jinsi found herself in a camp somewhere inside the wilderness with a large group of participants gathered there. Welcome to the final examination, and congratulations on making it this far. For this examination, you will need to acquire points by hunting magical beasts, and in order to pass this examination, you will need at least 100 points. Not all magical beasts reward the same amount of points, and the stronger the magical beast, the more points you'll receive. During this examination, the participants are no longer separated from each other, and you can hinder others' progression. However, keep in mind that you're not allowed to kill other participants. Before I send you outside this camp, I will give you all something that will count your points. The examiner handed a jade slip and continued. Do you have any questions? One of the participants there raised his hand and asked, Do we have a time limit? The examiner nodded. You have until the disciple examination officially ends in 4 days. If you're too hurt to continue or just want to give up, you can return to the camp and let me or any examiner know. Although there are experts scattered around the examination area to lower the casualty rate, you are not completely safe from all danger, so death is still very possible. In fact, there is a 30% casualty rate for this part of the examination. You may leave now if you're scared. After answering all of the participants' questions, the examiner sent them into the wilderness. The moment Li Jinsi entered the wilderness, she retrieved a large greatsword from her spatial ring and began running around the area hunting magical beasts like a maniac, even interfering with other participants by stealing their prey, which quickly caused an uproar amongst the participants. Chapter 864. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:29 and 23 seconds p.m. Chapter 864. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 864. 7 Sect Masters. Hey. Who the fuck are you? How dare you steal my prey? One of Li Jinsi's many victims cried out loud after getting his magical beast stolen right before his very eyes. You're running away now? Get back here. The victim tried to catch Li Jinsi when she ran away, but he was unable to catch even her shadow and gave up shortly after. Not far away, Li Jinsi encountered another participant fighting with a magical beast and also stole those points. What the? How dare you steal from me? Do you know who I am? However, Li Jinsi ignored this participant and continued to hunt magical beasts. The sect masters watching this from the sky were amused by Li Jinsi's actions. Do you think she's deliberately hindering the others? One of them asked out loud. I don't think so, but if she is, I cannot think of any reasons why she would do such a thing. In less than 1 hour, Li Jinsi managed to acquire enough points for her to complete the examination. However, despite that, she continued to hunt magical beasts. Somewhere in the wilderness, Wang Ming was fighting a 4th-level spirit warrior magical beast by himself, when a figure leaped out from behind him and killed the magical beast before he could land the last strike. Wang Ming immediately fumed. You dare steal my prey? However, he stopped when he saw the face of the perpetrator. Li Jinsi? What the hell are you doing here? Wang Ming stared at her with wide eyes. If I recall correctly, you said that you didn't want to participate in the examination. Seeing that it was Wang Ming, Li Jinsi didn't immediately run away like she normally would. I heard that you get to fight a lot of powerful magical beasts during this examination, so I came here, she calmly responded. Ha! You came here just to fight magical beasts? I expected nothing less from you. Wang Ming shook his head with a bittersweet smile. And he continued, Well, I don't really care about your reasons for being here, but can you not take away my points? I'd rather not stay here longer than needed if I can. I will think about it. Li Jinsi nodded, and she sped off without giving Wang Ming any chance to respond. Damn gorilla woman. All she cares about is fighting. After sighing, Wang Ming traveled the opposite direction of Li Jinsi and went a little further before he started hunting magical beasts again. Li Jinsi would eventually encounter the other members of the demon sealing faction, and she would steal their prey at least once. Of course, the others were as surprised as Wang Ming after realizing it was her. How long are you going to stay here? Hong Xiuquan asked her. Until I am satisfied, she calmly replied. You should leave some magical beasts behind for the other participants. I doubt there are unlimited magical beasts here, Wang Bingbing said to her during their meeting. Not my problem, she coldly said before returning to her hunt. Why even bother coming here? The magical beasts here cannot compare to the ones you find in the wild. If you're looking for strong magical beasts, you're in the wrong place. Wu Zhao said to her. I didn't think the magical beasts here were so weak, but since I am already here, I might as well enjoy myself. Hey, this is the third time you've stolen my kill. Aren't we from the same faction? Or do you have some sort of grudge against me? Shimoron cried out loud. Li Jinsi merely shrugged before leaving the scene. Meanwhile, the sect masters began debating whether they should stop Li Jinsi before she kills all of the magical beasts there. We should probably stop her before she kills all of the magical beasts, right? She already has enough points for a red token, so there's no point in continuing. Visit Readel. Me for extra chapters. I agree. We also have more qualifying participants than ever this year. It would be a shame if we run out of magical beasts before they even get a chance to fight one. Alright, let's stop her. The 7 sect master quickly came to a decision. Sometime later, they appeared before Li Jinsi like ghosts and surrounded her. Of course, this startled Li Jinsi, who mistook it for an ambush and prepared herself for battle. Wait, we're not here to fight. One of the sect masters quickly raised his hands and said, We're sect masters of the 7 spirit academies. As much as we'd like to continue watching you dominate the examination, it would be problematic if you kill all of the magical beasts on the first day of the examination. Is that so? Li Jinsi did not argue with these 7 sect masters since they were much stronger than her. Then I will take my leave now. How do I leave this place? One of the sect masters created a portal and pointed at it. Li Jinsi did not hesitate and entered the portal. After entering the portal, Li Jinsi found herself in a large room with 7 chairs. The sect masters entered the room after Li Jinsi and took a seat in these chairs. This part is normally done by the elders in charge of the examination, but we will take their place for this special occasion. Meanwhile, the spectators were shocked when they saw the 7 sect masters' sudden appearance. Holy shit! Aren't they the sect masters of the 7 spirit academies? I have never seen all 7 of them gathered in the same place before. They must have shown up for that genius. I'm not surprised in the slightest if you consider the ridiculous talent of that fairy. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised even if their ancestors personally decide to show up. Imagine being interviewed by all 7 sect masters of the 7 spirit academies. This is so exciting. Inside the interview room. Can you introduce yourself for us? Li Jinsi, she calmly responded. Chapter 865. Published at 17th of April, 2022, 4:09 and 12 seconds p.m. Chapter 865. 865 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 865. The sect master's offers. After introducing her name, Li Jinsi returned to being silent. A few moments of awkward silence later, one of the sect masters spoke. Is that it? Li Jinsi nodded. The sect masters were taken aback by her response. Can such a short introduction even be considered one? What about your family? Can you tell us a little about your background? They must be a prominent power to give birth to a genius like you. It's nothing special. They are only an ordinary cultivation family. Li Jinsi calmly responded. She didn't want to waste her breath talking about her family. Ordinary family? There's no need to be humble. Which city are they located in? Li Jinsi decided to remain silent. The sect masters looked at each other. In their mind, the reason Li Jinsi didn't want to talk about her family is most likely due to her mysterious background. She must be from a hidden family. Li Jinsi suddenly spoke. Why am I here, being questioned? I thought I had already finished the examination. You don't know? This is the last part of the examination, where we interview you. After the interview, each of us will decide if we want you to join our sect, and you will get to choose from the sect that wants you. Oh, Li Jinsi mumbled in a low voice. She didn't really pay much attention when the elders explained the examination to the participants, so she didn't know much about it. Anyways, let's move on from the introduction and get to the main topic. Can you tell us why you want to join our sect and which sect you hope to join today? The sect masters narrowed their eyes on Li Jinsi, patiently awaiting for her response. However, Li Jinsi's response would leave them speechless. I don't want to join any sects, she calmly said, shocking the sect masters and the spectators alike. What? Then why did you participate in the disciple examination? The sect master of the Heavenly Academy couldn't help but stand up and ask her. I only wanted to fight magical beasts. I came here because I heard that there would be powerful magical beasts here. Li Jinsi revealed the ridiculous reason why she participated in the examination. So you have no intention of joining any of our sect? One of the sect masters asked for confirmation. Li Jinsi silently nodded. The sect masters turned to look at each other with perplexed emotions on their faces. They have never been put in such a difficult and embarrassing situation before. If you don't mind me asking, do you currently belong to another sect? The sect master of the Heavenly Academy suddenly asked. No. Li Jinsi shook her head. Is there a particular reason why you're not in a sect? I don't like being bound to one place. Li Jinsi immediately responded. I see. Then, if we do not restrict you to the sect and allow you to travel as you please, would you be more willing to join one of our sects? The sect master of the Lonely River Academy asked. Ji Linqi pondered for a moment before nodding her head. Maybe. The sect masters smiled inwardly when they realized that there is still a chance to recruit Li Jinsi. Even if she doesn't join their own sect, they need her to join at least one of the 7 spirit academies. After all, if other sects acquire Li Jinsi, it would be disastrous for the 7 spirit academies in the future, as their position within spirit heaven could be challenged with just Li Jinsi's existence alone. All right. I have decided. We're skipping the interview part. I will now offer you a spot in the Heavenly Academy, and it will not just be any ordinary spot. The sect master of the Heavenly Academy spoke. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. And he continued. If you join my sect, I will immediately make you a prime disciple, allow you access to all of our techniques without any limitations, give you unlimited resources to assist your cultivation, and much more. If there is something you want that isn't stated, I will make it happen. Of course, you will also retain your freedom, so you can go out of the sect whenever you want and for however long you want. My Heavenly Academy is the #1 sect in the entirety of Spirit Heaven, so there is almost nothing that we cannot do for you. The other sect masters were shocked speechless by the sect master of the Heavenly Academy. They didn't think he would offer so much so quickly. Hell, he might as well offer her the entire Heavenly Academy. However, as ridiculous as the offer was, this made it almost impossible for the other sects to challenge the Heavenly Academy, who was superior in terms of techniques, prowess, and wealth. After a moment of silence, another sect master raised his hand and said, My Formless Sword Academy will offer you the same deal. You use the sword, right? Although we're not as wealthy and powerful as the Heavenly Academy, our sect has the most sword masters and sword techniques in all of Spirit Heaven. Join us and we'll nurture you into the greatest sword master this world has ever seen. The other sect masters also gave Li Jinsi an offer shortly after. While none of them could match the Heavenly Academy's offer, they had to try. Do you think she will join them? Chu Liuxiang suddenly asked. Who knows? Li Jinsi is an eccentric woman. I can never tell what she's thinking. Yuan chuckled. I don't think she'll join them. Meishio said. What makes you think so? Yuan asked. It's just a feeling. Meanwhile, back at Li Jinsi's location, many minutes passed in complete silence while the sect masters patiently waited for her response. Eventually, Li Jinsi opened her mouth and said, Thank you all for the generous offer, but I must decline. The sect masters sighed inwardly after hearing her response. May I hear your reasoning? The Heavenly Academy's sect master asked. Li Jinsi nodded and said, I have a goal that I really want to achieve. If I could achieve my goal by joining your sect, then I would do so without hesitation, but I do not believe your sects will help me achieve my goal. Therefore, I will have to decline. What is your goal? Li Jinsi took a deep breath before responding. There is a person I want to surpass. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 866. Published at 17th of April, 2022, 4:09 and 11 seconds p.m. Chapter 866. 866 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 866. Escalating situation. Someone you want to surpass? With your talents, there isn't anyone in this realm that can possibly match you, Sect Master of the Heavenly Academy said. Li Jinsi sighed after hearing such words. That confirms nobody here can help me achieve my goal. If you really think I am currently the most talented to walk this land, then you have no idea what's truly out there. Forget it. I have already made my decision. I won't be joining any of the sects here. Let me leave this place now. The sect masters exchanged frowned looks with each other. If Li Jinsi refuses to join them, she could become a huge threat to them in the future, and that future wouldn't be very far away either. Not with her ridiculous talents. Suddenly, one of the sect masters there suddenly stood up and scoffed. Enough of this bullshit. Sect Master Sun. You shut up. The sect master of the Universal Music Academy, Sun Hao shouted. He then pointed at Li Jinsi and continued. Who do you think you are, huh? I don't care which family you came from or how talented you are. But how dare you come here and mock us, the 7 Spirit Academies? How dare you come here and participate in our examination, and then tell us that you had no intentions of joining from the start? I have never been mocked in such a manner before. The other sect masters remained silent after hearing Sun Hao's words, mostly because it made a lot of sense. The only reason Li Jinsi can be so relaxed right now is because of her talents that these sect masters covet. If it were anybody else, they would have probably been punished with death by now. However, now that it was clear to them that Li Jinsi does not plan on joining their sect, it would be for the best if they got rid of her, so that nobody else could have her. Yuan. This doesn't look good. Meishio turned to look at him with a worried look on her face. He nodded, I know. After a moment of silence he said, Meishio Lulu, the both of you stay here. Xiaohua, we're going back. What are you going to do? As much as I hate to say this, Li Jinsi is half responsible for her situation. She could have worded herself better. Chu Liuxiang said, I know she's in the wrong, but I can't just stand here and do nothing. I will at the very least make sure that she's safe. We can deal with the specifics afterward. After putting down Meishio and Chu Liuxiang, Yuan flew back to the square with Xiaohua following beside him. Since he was in a hurry, he flew at his highest possible speed, which was multiple times faster than before, and it would only be a matter of time before he returned to the square with the 7 elders. Meanwhile, the situation between Li Jinsi and the sect masters only got worse. Say something. Did you purposefully come here just to piss us off or what? I don't care how talented you are. If you are not our ally, then I will deal with you accordingly. The sect master of the Universal Music Academy released his cultivation, overwhelming Li Jinsi with the intense pressure of a spirit king. Li Jinsi's body suddenly lowered until she was nearly on her knees, but she managed to react in time, and barely prevented her knees from touching the floor. The sect masters were shocked to see a 3rd-level spirit master resist the aura of a spirit king, regardless of their talents. However, this only further convinced them that Li Jinsi is a threat that must be removed if she refuses to be on their side. If you want to read more chapters, visit Pan Novel. Sect Master Sun, calm down a bit. Regardless of her actions, she is still a junior, and we are being watched by millions of people right now. The Heavenly Academy's sect master said to Sun Hao using spiritual sense. I wouldn't care even if we're being watched by the whole world. This junior needs to be taught a lesson for looking down on her seniors. Also, it would be dangerous to let an untamed monster like her wander this world. Heaven knows what she is capable of in the future. Sun Hao said. I know. Let's give her one more chance to join us before we decide on anything. Visit Readel. Me for extra chapters. Fine. Sun Hao stopped pressuring Li Jinsi the next moment. Li Jinsi breathed heavily with her body soaked in sweat. Even though she had to resist Sun Hao's pressure for a few moments, it was enough to drain almost all of her energy. These people are strong. Much stronger than Yuan when I first fought him. She cried inwardly. However, despite her body and instincts trembling in fear, her heart was actually burning with excitement. These people. I want to fight them. Do not be mistaken. This does not mean that I have forgiven you for your sins. Sun Hao said, snapping Li Jinsi out of her daze. Li Jinsi coldly snorted. If you're expecting me to apologize for my actions, it won't happen. Why, you disrespectful little bit. Before Sun Hao could release his anger, the sect master of the Heavenly Academy stepped forward and said, what you did here today not only disrespected our 7 spirit academies, but it also mocked us, who came all the way out here to invite you to join our sect. So you're here to specifically recruit me? Li Jinsi suddenly asked. Yes, that's right. We, the sect masters, do not normally intervene in disciple examinations. Hearing such words, Li Jinsi could only snort coldly. Really? But I don't recall asking for any of your presents. You came here on your own accord, and now you're blaming me for wasting your time? This bitch has zero respect for us. She may be talented, but she's clearly brainless. Sun Hao gritted his teeth in anger. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 867. Published at 17th of April, 2022, 4:09 and 10 seconds p.m. Chapter 867. 867. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 867. Death Note. Young child, I will give you one last chance. If you join us, we will forget about this incident and make you the strongest cultivator in spirit heaven. However, if you refuse, then I and the others here no longer have any reason to continue protecting you. The sect master of the Heavenly Academy said to Li Jinsi, offering her a final chance to join their sections. I refuse. Li Jinsi immediately rejected his offer, and it was done so in a manner that did not have even the slightest bit of hesitation. The sect master trembled slightly from anger, but he quickly regained control over his emotions. Is that so? How regrettable. A talent of your level. We might never see it again. The sect master then sat down and closed his eyes. You may do as you please, Sect Master Sunday. I have been waiting for this. Sun Hao immediately released his cultivation base again, instantly flattening the chair behind him. However, this pressure was not as strong as before, so Li Jinsi was able to endure it without feeling helpless. He's going easy on me? Li Jinsi wondered inwardly. Sun Hao suddenly retrieved a beautiful zither and said, don't worry, I won't kill you so quickly. Disrespectful juniors like you need to be taught a proper lesson. He then pulled a single string on the zither, creating a beautiful yet crisp noise that echoed in the room. Hearing this music note, Li Jinsi subconsciously retrieved her greatsword and placed it in front of her, and she could feel something collide with her sword the very next instant, sending her flying backwards. Li Jinsi proceeded to fly straight out of the building and into this empty and spacious area. Sun Hao calmly walked outside and said, if you can resist 3 of my strikes, I will let you live. How about it? Does that last hit count? Li Jinsi asked. Sun Hao smiled and said, you want to be a smartass as well? I too can play that game. And no, it doesn't count, since I only talked about it after releasing that strike, so you still need to block 3 more. Very well. I'll accept your challenge. Li Jinsi nodded. Sun Hao didn't say anything else and took a sitting position, but he did not sit on the floor. Instead, he hovered in the air with the zither on his lap. The other sect masters also came outside to spectate their challenge. Then here comes my first strike. After taking a deep breath, Sun Hao began playing the zither. Li Jinsi immediately prepared herself for the attack, but nothing happened even many moments later, and only music came from Sun Hao's zither. Furthermore, it was a very pleasant-sounding music. This music? What is this nauseating feeling? Li Jinsi quickly realized that she could barely stand straight after listening to this music. First note, note of destruction. Ting. A very distinct and clear noise suddenly resounded, snapping Li Jinsi out of her daze. Bang. Li Jinsi suddenly felt something incredibly powerful struck her great sword. which sent her flying back for another 50 meters before she finally touched the floor and began rolling like a metal can. However, she quickly stood back up with minor injuries. Not bad. Sun Hao chuckled. Then I will now begin my second strike. Sun Hao did not stop playing his zither this entire time, so music continued to fill the area. Shit. This music. It's making me lose consciousness. Li Jinxi had to bite her lips until it bled just to keep herself conscious. Second note. Note of annihilation. Ting. Li Jinxi could feel an immense amount of spiritual energy flying towards her direction, and it was definitely enough to be fatal to even someone like her, but she couldn't avoid it. Hiya! Li Jinxi suddenly roared, and her body became enveloped by a crimson aura that reeked with bloodlust. Li Jinxi could feel all of the muscles in her body being strengthened past their limits, making her feel more confident blocking the incoming attack. However, when the attack finally struck her great sword, it not only knocked Li Jinxi 100 meters away, but it also shattered her greatsword into hundreds of pieces. Fortunately for Li Jinxi, the greatsword shattered after absorbing most of Sun Hao's attack, saving her life by a hair's width. However, this also meant that Li Jinxi would not have a weapon to defend against the next strike. If you don't have another weapon, you can use your body, Sun Hao said with a cold grin on his face. Li Jinxi looked down at her own body to see that it was covered in cuts from the previous attack, and her entire body was soaked in her own blood. I might die today, she mumbled inwardly, yet she wasn't feeling afraid of death even in the slightest. Meanwhile, outside the square with the 7 elders, do you think Sect Master Sun's really going to kill someone as talented as her? If he's convinced that there's no chance to recruit her. Well, do you think he's convinced? After a moment of silence, Elder Mon from the Universal Music Academy said, definitely. What a pity. Suddenly, the 7 elders stopped talking and turned to face north when they sensed 2 unfathomable presence approaching their direction. Who's that? What a powerful pressure. The elders were shocked. Isn't that? Once these 2 figures were close enough for the elders to see their faces, it shocked the elders even more. That's the kid from earlier today. Why is he coming back here? A few moments later, Yuan and Xiaohua stopped in front of the 7 elders. Take me to that place. Yuan pointed at the projection showing Li Jinxi and the sect masters. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Huh. The elders showed puzzled looks on their faces. That girl is my friend, and I would like to stop them before things get out of hand. Yuan gave them a brief explanation. Your friend? Unfortunately, your friend just offended the 7 spirit academies and of all people, their sect masters. She's going to die, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Elder Mon sneered. Yuan narrowed his eyes and said, I don't recall asking for your commentary. Little bastard. I can see why you're that woman's friend. You both lack respect towards your seniors. Elder Mon roared at him. However, Yuan wasn't even paying attention to the elder. He was focused on the projection with Li Jinxi, as she had just successfully blocked Sun Hao's second attack, but it was clear that she would not be able to block the next one. Xiaohua. Yuan mumbled in a low voice. Xiaohua did not need to hear anything else from Yuan to understand his intentions, and she released her cultivation base. As Spirit King, the elders immediately recognized Xiaohua's pressure that was even stronger than their sect master's aura. Yuan approached these elders and stared at them with immense killing intent in his gaze. If you do not let me help my friend, I will trample the 7 spirit academies until there is nothing left. The elders trembled in fear before Yuan's killing intent. Although his killing intent is already plenty strong in the real world, it was on another level in Cultivation Online, and it was definitely more than enough to terrify the souls out of these Spirit Lord Elders. I will open the portal to that place for you. The Heavenly Academy's elder was the first one to break, and he immediately created a portal for Yuan. Thanks. Yuan didn't say anything else and flew right into the portal with Xiaohua following him from behind. Meanwhile, Li Jinxi was prepared to block the final attack even if she had to use her own body. He's really going to kill her with his last strike. Are you sure this is the right choice? Some of the sect masters there were still hesitant to let a genius like Li Jinsi perish under such a situation. Especially the Healing Spirit Academy's sect master. If she is not our ally, then she can only be our enemy. And I doubt she will change her mind after all of this is done. Might as well get rid of her before she could harm us. The sect master of the Heavenly Academy sighed. The other sect masters didn't say anything else and watched as Sun Hao prepared to release his final strike. If you can survive this last strike, I will not only forgive you, I will even do anything you want. A massive grin appeared on Sun Hao's face as he pulled the strings on the zither in a chaotic rhythm. Final note, death note. Sun Hao released the attack with the strength of a spirit king behind it. There was simply no way for Li Jinsi to survive this attack, and she instinctively knew this the moment she felt the spiritual energy of the attack. Damn it. Li Jinsi sighed inwardly as the attack reached in front of her body. Heaven-severing zither arts. Suddenly, another zither note resounded in the area, and before anyone there could react, this zither note collided with Sun Hao's zither note, instantly destroying it. Who goes there? Sun Hao exclaimed in a shocked voice after witnessing what just happened. Two figures appeared before Li Jinsi the very next moment, standing between Li Jinsi and the sect masters, and one of them was holding onto a beautiful black zither in his grasp. Wei Yuan, what are you doing here? Li Jinsi mumbled in a low voice. She knew it was him even without seeing his face, as she could recognize him just from looking at his back. I'm here to save you, obviously, he said with a calm smile on his face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 868. Published at 17th of April, 2022, 4:09 and 9 seconds p.m. Chapter 868. 868. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 868. Persuading the sect masters. Who the hell are you, and how did you get in here? Sun Hao asked Yuan with a frown on his face. He not only blocked my most powerful zither note, but he did so as a spirit lord. Sun Hao and the other sect masters were wary of Yuan's presence. My identity isn't of any importance, and I came here by asking those elders at the square. Yuan said. He didn't want to give them his identity since he was being watched by millions of people right now. Of course, it didn't really matter if his identity is exposed to the players watching, but he'd rather avoid it if possible. You bastard. There's no way they'd let you in here of their own free will. If you have harmed even a hair of their body, I will make you regret it. Sun Hao growled. Don't worry, I didn't touch them. Though I did threaten them a little, but that was inevitable, as I wouldn't have been able to come here if I didn't. Yuan shrugged. So, what do you hope to achieve by coming here? The sect master of the Heavenly Academy suddenly spoke out loud. I am here to persuade you all to forgive my friend. No doubt, she was wrong for coming here without any intentions of joining your sects, and she was a little rude, but I don't think that warrants a death sentence. So you don't think that mocking the sect masters of the 7 spirit academies, the most powerful sects in this realm, should be punished with death? Sun Hao asked. Of course not. That's simply unreasonable. If you think that's punishable by death, then should I just kill all of you for trying to kill my friend, which is an even bigger offense in my eyes? Yuan narrowed his eyes at the sect masters. Arrogant little bastard. I can see why you're friends. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if you were a couple. Hao Sun gritted his teeth in anger. Do you really think you can kill the 7 of us? You're just a mere spirit lord. The Heavenly Academy's sect master couldn't help but laugh out loud after hearing Yuan's outrageous claims. Suddenly, a voice resounded inside his head. Sect Master Li, don't underestimate them. That little girl beside him is a spirit king. Elder Lang had just warned the sect master of the Heavenly Academy about Xiaohua's prowess. I see. The reason you're acting so arrogant is because of that little girl beside you, right? However, even if she's a spirit king, there is only one of her while there are 7 of us. Sect Master Li smiled. Xiaohua? No, I never planned on letting her fight for me. Although she is also more than enough to handle all 7 of you by herself, I don't want to trouble her with my problem. If you came here to piss us off even more, then you're doing a great job. However, if you're here to help your friend, then you should have never come here. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. The sect masters narrowed their eyes at him. I will handle this. The sect master of the Formless Sword Academy suddenly stepped forward with a majestic green sword in his grasp. My name is Bayanju, sect master of the Formless Sword Academy. I hereby challenge you to a life or death challenge. Bayanju introduced himself as he pointed his sword at Yuan. Sect Master Bai. What are you doing? The other sect masters were shocked by his words. Don't say anything. This is my decision. Seeing this, Yuan also retrieved his sword and summoned the Empyrean Overlord. A soul weapon? He can wield both a sword and a zither? Bayanju was inwardly shocked to see Yuan suddenly pull out a huge-ass sword. The other sect masters felt the same after seeing the Empyrean Overlord. After snapping out of his daze, Bayanju made his move first. Formless Sword Art, Formless Edge. A blue arc of light followed Bayanju's sword as it flew toward Yuan's neck. After taking a split second to analyze the attack, Yuan also released his own attack. However, it was not a technique. Instead, Yuan just swung his sword ordinarily while using his sword aura to support it. He can use sword aura. Bayanju was shocked inwardly when he felt an exceedingly sharp aura coming from Yuan's sword. The two attacks collided the very next second. Yuan would be pushed back a couple of steps from the exchange, but Bayanju was sent flying backwards. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Impossible. Even Sect Master Bai cannot match him using a sword. He can already use sword aura at such a young age? The other sect masters were beginning to wonder if they'd offended an existence that they shouldn't have provoked. Meanwhile, at the Heavenly Academy, Elder Nya, we have an emergency. A disciple rushed into his room without knocking. What happened? Senior Nya asked with a slight frown on his annoyed face. The sect masters. They are. The disciple didn't know how to explain the situation without making it sound too bad. Hurry up and speak. What happened to the sect masters? Senior Nya raised his voice. They are being beaten by some stranger. What? How is that even possible? Senior Nya immediately doubted this information. It's true. Watch the disciple examination broadcast. Senior Nya didn't say anything else, and retrieved a treasure that allowed him to spectate the disciple examination. After changing the scene multiple times, he finally halted at a specific broadcast where all 7 sect masters of the 7 spirit academies was gathered, and they appeared to be in trouble. What happened to Sect Master Sun? Why is he missing an arm? And most importantly, why is he there? Senior Nya exclaimed after seeing Sun Hao's condition and Yuan's familiar face. This is what happened. The disciple proceeded to explain the whole situation to Senior Nya, who was speechless by the end of it. Fuck. This is disastrous. Senior Nya was so dumbfounded by the situation that he couldn't even think properly. Out of everyone in this world, they had to pick a fight with him. These idiots. Damn it. I need to stop them before things really get out of hand. Tell everybody in the sect to stand by. After giving the disciple this warning, Senior Nya rushed outside and disappeared from the sect. Meanwhile, the other 6 sects had already gathered many experts and started making their way towards the examination area to assist their sect masters that were clearly in trouble. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 870. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 11:18 and 7 seconds AM. Chapter 870. 870. If audio player doesn't work, Press stop then play button again. Chapter 870. You know him? Don't think you've won yet. I am just getting started. Bianju shouted as he got back to his feet and closed their distance again. You're also not the only one who can use sword aura. Bianju swung his sword that carried sword aura this time. However, it was clear that his sword aura was nowhere near as powerful and refined as Yuan's sword aura. Yuan didn't say anything and proceeded to block all of Bianju's attacks with ease. What should we do? At this rate, our reputation will. Is there even anything we can do at this point? If we attack him at once, that would be akin to admitting our defeat, that we cannot defeat him by ourselves. Who here thinks they can defeat him? The sect masters talked amongst themselves as Yuan and Bianju fought each other. Regardless if we defeat him or not today, our reputation has already suffered irreparable damage. Sect Master Li sighed in a dispirited manner. So you're saying we should just gang up on him and finish this? One of them asked. Sect Master Li narrowed his eyes at Yuan, who was casually fighting Bianju, even looking like he was fooling around. I'm not so sure that we would be able to defeat him even if all 7 of us fought him together. What? Are you seriously saying that? Sect Master Li nodded with a serious expression. This person must be the one she wants to surpass. His abilities are truly incomprehensible and unfathomable. However, as the sect masters of the 7 spirit academies, we cannot simply run away in such a situation, or we would become laughingstocks. Even if we lose our faces, we must take him down. The other sect masters silently nodded their heads. Bang! Ah! Bianju suddenly screamed, causing the other sect masters to turn their heads. Sect Master Bai, are you okay? Sect Master Zaihu shouted in a concerned voice after seeing the blood flowing from his mouth. Why yes, this is nothing, he said in a mumbling voice. The sect masters suddenly approached them and surrounded Yuan. Oh! Yuan stopped his movements and looked at the sect masters around him with a calm expression on his face. I told you guys to fight me together at the beginning, but you didn't want to listen. Now it looks like I am bullying you guys. Yuan smiled at their frowning faces. If you want to read more chapters, visit Pond Novel C. Are you really a spirit lord? Or are you hiding your real cultivation? Sect Master Li suddenly asked him. Of course this is my real cultivation. I don't even know how to hide my cultivation. Yuan casually shrugged. Then let me ask you another question. Why are you doing this? I don't believe that you came all the way here just to save your friend. You actually came here with the intentions to fight us, didn't you? I will be lying if I say that I am not enjoying our fight. However, I am not that bored to come here just to fight. I truly came here with the intentions to save my friend, but I got a little angry when I saw the state of my friend, so I wanted to punish you all a little. If you want, we can stop this nonsense right now. Of course, that means you will forfeit the challenge and forgive my friend. Sect Master Li snorted and said, This is no longer about the challenge. You came here and made a mockery out of us. Our reputation took a massive hit because of you and your friend. When someone slaps you in the face, it is only natural you kill them. Yuan sighed. Is that so? What a pity. He suddenly lifted his sword and pointed it at them. Don't worry, I won't kill any of you, but expect to lose a limb or two today. The sect masters didn't say anything and took out their weapons and treasures. Kill him. Sect Master Li suddenly shouted in a resolved voice. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Halt! A deafening voice suddenly resounded, immediately stopping their movements. This voice. Senior Nia? Sect Master Li recognized his voice the moment he heard it. Indeed, it was Senior Nia, and he could be seen coming out of a portal with an exhausted look on his face. Enough of this. All of you. Stop. Without any hesitation, Senior Nia walked right past the sect masters and stood beside Yuan. What are you doing, Senior Nia? Sun Hao asked him. I am trying to stop this farce before someone actually dies. What do you think will happen to the 7 spirit academies if multiple sect masters suddenly die? You actually think we'll lose to that brat, Senior Nia? It's not about losing or winning. If you continue to fight him, one or more of you will certainly die. Even if you manage to defeat him in the end, It will be at the cost of some of your lives, and that is not worth it. Senior Nie said. And he turned to look at Yuan with a perplexed face, as he wasn't sure what to say to Yuan at this moment. Before Senior Nie could say anything, Yuan smiled and said, I am not an unreasonable person. If they agree to stop, I won't pursue this matter any longer. Thank you, Yuan. Senior Nie nodded. Wait. Senior Nie, you know him? Sect Master Xiaoho stared at him with her eyes wide as saucers. Of course. Senior Nie nodded, and he continued. In fact, I met him not long ago when I went down to the lower heavens to oversee the mystic realm. Do you remember that genius I mentioned about after I returned? The one who refused to join us? That's him. The sect masters there stared at Yuan with baffled faces after realizing Yuan's identity, but none of them wanted to believe it. He's that prodigy who was rumored to have opened the mystic pagoda? Sect Master Li cried inwardly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 871. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 11:18 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 871. 871. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 871. Monster. The place fell completely silent once Senior Nie revealed Yuan's identity to the sect masters. Since none of the sect masters were directly involved in the mystic realm, none of them recognized Yuan. However, they were definitely intrigued by his existence, as he was able to open the mystic pagoda that had been sealed for countless years. They also didn't think that they would be meeting him anytime soon, as it hasn't been that long since the mystic realm ended. After many moments of silence, Sun Hao spoke. I'm sorry, Senior Nie, but I won't be able to back down. I can't. I simply can't forgive him, who severed my arm. He must pay for it. Bianju then said. I also won't stop now. I don't have any grudges against him, but I cannot put down my sword after fighting him. My pride won't allow it. Senior Nie sighed after hearing their words, but he didn't continue to persuade them. Although Senior Nie isn't a sect master, he has been part of the Heavenly Academy even before the current sect master, and his reputation and authority within the sect isn't any less than sect masterly. In fact, most people within the 7 spirit academies see Senior Nie as a retired sect master despite having never taken up that position. What about the rest of you? I won't tell you to not fight him, but I highly discourage it. Senior Nie turned to look at the others. I am out. Sect Master Xiaoho said out loud before taking a few steps back. As the sect master of the Healing Spirit Academy, she specializes in alchemy more than actual combat, and she didn't want to risk her life for something so pointless. I will fight, said the sect master of the Lonely River Academy. As he was very close with Formless Sword Academy's sect master, he would be filled with guilt if he didn't assist Bianju. With half of the sect masters willing to fight, 2 more sect masters also agreed to continue their fight. Sect Master Li from the Heavenly Academy is now the only person that hasn't come to a decision. Senior Nie narrowed his eyes at Sect Master Li. As the leading sect, it would be shameful of me to back down when the majority of the alliance has agreed to fight, said Sect Master Li with a resolute face. Senior Nie sighed. He then turned to look at Yuan with an apologetic look on his face. I'm sorry. I tried. It's fine. I was expecting it. Yuan said. Why you were? Yes. He smiled. Anyways, you should stand back. Things will get a little chaotic from here on out. Before leaving, Senior Nie said to him, I know I have no right to ask this of you, but can you spare their lives at the very least? If you kill any of them, the 7 spirit academies will do everything in their power to destroy you. I won't make any promises. If they're too weak, I might accidentally kill them after all. Yuan said. Senior Nie could only sigh inwardly after hearing such words, and he retreated from the battlefield with Sect Master Xiaoho. Since you're down 1, I will let you attack first. Yuan said to the 6 sect masters with a provoking smile on his face. Che. Sun Hao snickered in disdain right before retrieving a flute. He then used Qi manifestation to hold the flute before his mouth, allowing him to play it with just a single hand. So he can play multiple instruments, huh? If you want to read more chapters, visit Pond Novel c.com. When Yuan heard the music, it made him feel a little nauseated. However, the technique was meant to knock out Yuan. And when Sun Hao saw this, he immediately changed songs. A moment later, the other 5 sect masters surrounded Yuan while feeling like their overall prowess had increased from listening to the music. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. Formless Sword Art, Formless Edge. Bai Anju was the first to attack Yuan, initiating a relentless assault that would not stop for many minutes. Strength Enhancing Array. The sect master of the Golden Array Academy further enhanced the other's strength before trying to slow down Yuan with restraining arrays. However, Yuan would easily break out of these arrays. This guy. He knows all of my array's weaknesses. Is he also an array master? Meanwhile, Sect Master Li would occasionally throw powerful techniques at Yuan whenever one of the other sect masters finished their attack in order to keep up the pressure. Of course, Yuan easily dodges all of these attacks with his movement technique. Fiery Lion Fist. The sect master of the Steel Lion Academy used his bare hands to attack Yuan from behind. Yuan immediately turned around in a kicking motion, blocking the fist attack with nothing but his bare legs. What a ridiculously sturdy body. Not even mountains can compare to this guy's body. He must have soaked in countless treasures to acquire such a refined physique. The sect master of the Steel Lion Academy was shocked after their clash. He was someone that would often claim to have the strongest and sturdiest body in spirit heaven, but after clashing with Yuan, he began to doubt his own strength. The 6 sect masters relentlessly attacked Yuan for many minutes without giving him any time to breathe, each using their own talents to assist the others. Their cooperation with each other was perfect, but despite that, none of them have been able to land a solid hit on Yuan, as he was easily blocking and dodging everything they sent his way. This is fucking impossible. He has an answer for all of our attacks, and there are 6 of us attacking him at once. Sect Master Li cried inwardly, his body soaked in cold sweat. What a monster! The other sect masters also noticed this, but they did not dare to stop attacking Yuan, fearing his retaliation. Meanwhile, Li Jinsi and the others watched Yuan fight with 6 spirit kings simultaneously, while having a lower cultivation. He's even smiling. Li Jinsi mumbled in a voice of disbelief as she stared at Yuan's face that was filled with excitement and joy. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 872. Published at 18th of April, 2022, 6:09 and 16 seconds p.m. Chapter 872. 872 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 872. Heaven's favorite. So this is the prowess of the man who opened the mystic pagoda. He was only a spirit master at that time, too. Senior Nya thought to himself as he watched Yuan play with the 6 sect masters. Because the mystic realm did not show Yuan's movement and actions, nobody but those that were with him knew his potential. This included Senior Nya, who could only imagine Yuan's prowess until today. This is absurd, almost comically so, Sect Master Xiahou suddenly uttered in a dazed voice. How can someone like him exist in this world? Why are the heavens allowing this to happen? Hearing her words, Senior Nya responded without looking away from the fight. This is the heavens' way of messing with us cultivators for wanting to defy them by seeking eternal life. They will occasionally create geniuses that will surpass everyone with ease just to make the others fume with jealousy. Of course, if they're feeling extremely bored, they will very, very rarely give birth to monsters that will dominate an entire era. And these monsters are fated to do just that, so there is nothing we can do about it. We can beat them, oppress them, mock them, torture them, and even try to kill them, but they will always somehow manage to survive and continue their path of dominance. We call these monsters Heaven's favorite. So you're saying that he's Heaven's favorite? Sect Master Xiahou asked. I hope so. Senior Nya said with a bittersweet smile on his face. Why? Sect Master Xiaoho raised her eyebrows in a puzzled manner. Because there actually exists an existence that surpasses even heaven's favorite. This kind of existence are independent souls that do not obey any rules. Not even those made by the mighty heavens, nor are they affected by fate, so they can essentially do whatever they want while ignoring all rules of this universe. There isn't an official name for this kind of existence, but if I have to give them one, I would call them forbidden souls, as they are souls that should not be allowed to exist, for the sake of this world and everyone in it. Sect Master Xiaoho was left speechless by Senior Ni's words, and she wondered if Yuan could be this kind of existence. Meanwhile, Yuan's battle with the 6 sect masters only got more heated with every passing moment, as the sect masters were beginning to get desperate. Most of them had been unconsciously using non-lethal techniques, because they were ganging up on a young man that also has a lower cultivation base than them. But the sect masters eventually came to a realization that Yuan isn't human, so they shouldn't fight like they were fighting a fellow human cultivator. This bastard is clearly not human, and we won't defeat him until we stop considering him as a human. We need to treat this fight like we're fighting a magical beast. No, a divine beast. Let's stop holding back and fight with the intention to kill. Sun Hao suddenly said to the other sect masters. Although they were hesitant at first, it did not take long for them to agree with Sun Hao. Once the sect masters stopped seeing Yuan as a human, their attacks immediately became more aggressive and destructive. Ha! This is so fun. That's right. Fight me with the intention to kill me. Fight like your life depends on it. Yuan laughed out loud as he also increased his pace and strength. Formless blade, formless death. Bianju used his most powerful technique on Yuan. The other sect masters followed. Ancient Lion's Fury. Array of 4 elements. Heavenly Destruction. All of the sect masters suddenly released their most powerful and destructive technique on Yuan simultaneously. A massive explosion occurred shortly afterward, forcing the sect masters, and even the spectators to retreat. Why Yuan? Li Jinsi swallowed nervously. Surely he couldn't have survived that attack just now, right? While everyone there had their eyes focused on Yuan's direction, Senior Nya decided to focus on Xiaohua instead for some reason. She's not acting, nor does she seem worried even in the slightest. Senior Nya sighed inwardly after realizing why Xiaohua remained so calm. It's over. The sect masters are not capable of defeating this monster. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Once the smoke disappeared enough, Yuan's figure appeared before the sect masters again, and he seemed to be completely unharmed, which left the sect masters completely baffled. After coming out of the smoke, Yuan cracked his fingers and said in a chilling voice, I would like to believe that I have given you all enough time for your head start. It's now my turn to go on the offensive. Yuan's words immediately snapped the sect masters back to reality. Shit. Stop him. Sect Master Li shouted in a panicked voice. However, before anyone there could even do anything, Yuan's eyes changed colors, turning into majestic gold. Dragon's gaze. All 6 sect masters halted their movements the moment they stared into Yuan's glowing eyes. Where am I? Where did the others go? The sect masters suddenly found themselves alone in the void, where there was only darkness and this unfathomable presence that continuously grew more terrifying until it was strong enough to shake the very core of their souls. Once their fear was at its peak, the sect masters finally realized what was causing this terrifying presence. However, this entity was so massive that just one of its eyes could make them look like ants before a watermelon in comparison. Help. I give up. Please. Get me out of here, mother. Sun Hao was so shaken by the massive eye that he started crying for his mother. The other sect masters had similar reactions. Bianju dropped his sword and kowtowed before the entity in the void without uttering a single word. Sect Master Li and the others also did something similar. They had lost all will to fight, and offered their unworthy lives to this unfathomable entity in the void. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 873. Published at 20th of April, 2022 for 09 and 17 seconds p.m. Chapter 873. 873 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 873. Don't look, what happened? Why are they just standing there? Sect Master Xiaohou mumbled in a dumbfounded voice as she stared at the sect masters with her eyes as wide as saucers. Because Yuan had his back facing her direction, she was unable to see his glowing eyes and understand the situation. Sect Master Xiaohou decided to take a closer look with her divine sense, but Elder Nia suddenly exclaimed, "Don't look!" Huh. Sect Master Xiaohou subconsciously retrieved her divine sense from surprise and turned to look at him, only to see a terrified expression on his face. "Senior Nia? What's wrong?" she asked him in a nervous voice. "Whatever you do, don't look at his eyes right now. You'll regret it like I am now," he said with sweat dripping down his forehead. Even though Yuan's dragon's gaze wasn't directed towards him, it was still emitting an aura strong enough to shake Senior Ni's soul when he glanced at it with his divine sense. What a terrifying technique. It must be at least divine rank. Meanwhile, Yuan merely stood there with a calm expression as he watched the sect masters stand there with blank looks on their faces, looking like they were in a trance. If he wanted to defeat the sect masters, right now would be the best time. However, he didn't attack them and actually waited for them to break out of his technique by themselves, which is definitely a crueler punishment. When Senior Nia realized what Yuan was doing, he immediately said, "Why, Yuan? Please have mercy. Their souls will crumble at this rate. That is a fate worse than death." Yuan smiled and said, "Don't worry, they won't receive any permanent damages. I am holding back after all." He's holding back, even though it's already this powerful. Senior Nia cried inwardly. After standing around for a couple more minutes, Yuan finally decided to act. However, the sect masters remained dazed even after Yuan deactivated his dragon's gaze. "It's time to wake up." Yuan slightly twisted his body before swinging his fist at Sect Master Li's face, hitting him square in the cheeks. A cracking noise resounded as Sect Master Li's jaw cracked from the impact. He then flew into the air with his body spinning in an impressive manner. After sending Sect Master Li flying, Yuan immediately moved to his next victim, sending Bianju flying with a fist to the face as well. He then sent the Sect Master of the Golden Array Academy, the Sect Master of the Steel Lion Academy, and the Sect Master of the Lonely River Academy flying with a kick in their stomach, breaking some of their ribs in the process. It was just Sun Hao, Sect Master of the Universal Music Academy, left, and Yuan had something special for him. After slapping Sun Hao in the face to wake him up from his daze, Yuan would batter him with over a dozen strikes, ruthlessly hitting him in the face and body until his entire face was deformed with bruises. Once all of the sect masters were lying on the ground and groaning in pain, Yuan took a deep breath and said, "I am going to end your punishment here and spare your lives, but if you try to harm me or my friends again, I will not hesitate to come back and claim your lives." He turned to look at Senior Nia and continued, "Do you have anything to say?" A bittersweet smile appeared on Senior Ni's face as he spoke. "Just one thing. Thank you for sparing their lives." Yuan nodded. "I should also apologize for escalating the situation, even though I came here with the intention to stop it, especially since there are millions of people watching this. Oh, you don't have to worry about the spectators. We stopped broadcasting this place after your fight with Sect Master Sun, so everything that happened afterward is only between us." Senior Nia said. "What?" Sect Master Xiaohou turned to look at Senior Nia with a shocked face. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" "I don't know about Sect Master Sun, but the others wouldn't have fought if they knew about that. They fought because they thought that their reputation was at stake." Well, we can talk about that after you heal them," Senior Nia said in an awkward voice. "Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters." "All right." Sect Master Xiaohou then fed the other sect masters recovery pills and other expensive medicine. healing all of their injuries within moments except the damage done to their pride and mind. Senior Nya, are you serious? About the broadcast, Sect Master Li asked him afterward. Yes, it's true. The only people that could see the broadcast are people with direct access to them like me. However, Sect Master Sun's fight with Yuan is public knowledge. Everybody turned to look at Sun Hao, who had a very bitter look on his face, but there was nothing they could do about it. Hey, can we leave now? Yuan suddenly approached them and asked. The sect masters subconsciously took a step back when Yuan got too close. You want to leave after beating us? Are you serious? Bainju frowned. What? Do you want me to take responsibility or something? Except for him, you're all unharmed. Yuan said while pointing to Sun Hao. Just so you know, hundreds of thousands of disciples from the 7 spirit academies are currently waiting for you outside. If we don't stop them, they will all attack you. Sect Master Li said. Is that so? Yuan began pondering for a moment before showing a cold smile. Or I can just kill them all. You bastard. The sect masters glared at Yuan with killing intent. Yuan chuckled. I'm just joking, but if you leave me no choice, that joke might become a reality. Also, if you're worried that I might cause trouble for you in the future, then you don't have to worry, as I will be ascending to the next realm very soon. What? You're ascending again so soon? Senior Nya looked at him with wide eyes. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. The disciples of the Heavenly Academy never left the sect, so we should have any disciples here. Senior Nya said to Sect Master Li, who nodded his head in approval. I'll also call my guys off. The other sect masters eventually gave up. In the end, only Sun Hao remained indecisive. What is this nonsense? I thought we're supposed to help each other. That is the purpose of our alliance that has stood for thousands of years. Sun Hao yelled at the other sect masters. How dare you bring up such bullshit after we risked our lives to fight him with you, Sect Master Sun. You should know better than that. Sect Master Li immediately roared back. Sect Master Sun, while we are obligated to help each other during times of need, it does not mean we must sacrifice ourselves to do so. Sect Master Xiahou said. Sect Master Sun, you need some rest, as you're clearly not thinking straight right now. Bainju sighed. When the rest of the sect masters rebuked Sun Hao's stubbornness, it infuriated him. However, there was nothing he could do. He knew that there was nothing he could do against Yuan by himself. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. In the end, Sun Hao raised his white flag and commanded his disciples to return to their sect. I'm leaving. Sun Hao also left the place immediately after, as he didn't want to stay in that place for another second. We'll contact you again later for a proper meeting, Sect Master Sunday. Sect Master Li said to him right before he entered the portal and disappeared from the place. It should be clear outside now. Senior Nya created a portal and said to Yuan, let's leave now, shall we? Yuan turned to ask Li Jinsi, who nodded in a dazed manner. Yuan proceeded to leave the place with Li Jinsi and Xiaohua following behind him. Senior Nya, tell us everything you know about him. Sect Master Li said in a serious voice after they left. I don't mind, but I also don't really know much about them. However, there is one thing that I can say for sure. What's that? He's from an extraordinary background with connections to some very powerful people. Do you remember the Flood Dragon scale that I recently purchased? The owner and seller of that scale called him Young Master. What? The sect masters there were shocked to learn this information. You said that he came from the lower heavens, right? How can he possibly have such connections? Unless he's actually from the upper heavens but purposefully traveled to the lower heavens, that's impossible. However, why would he do such a thing? Bainju said. Senior Nya shook his head. The more talented they are, the less we understand them. It'll be for the best if we don't question it and just accept things as they are. The bigger question now is, What should we do after all this? I'm also worried about Sect Master Sunday. He suffered the most today, after all. Sect Master Xiahou sighed. We can talk about that later. For now, we need to return to our own sects and explain the situation to our disciples. Sect Master Li said. The sect masters agreed, and they all left the scene shortly after. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.